Wait. Damn, wait, he has 70 million views. What the freak? What the freak? 70 million. Oh my goodness. 70 mil. In like 1 month. That's insane. Holy shit, 70 million. Jesus Christ.
The players were given no help or guidance, and just like in real life, if you die, you remain dead.
Okay, so it's hardcore Minecraft then. It's hardcore.
Now each player has the freedom to do whatever they want. Farm for food, become a dictator, and build a society.
Wait, is the volume loud enough for guys? Is the volume okay? Let me check.
At least as best as they can, because
Is it too
while
loud?
one island is a rich green paradise,
A little bit. Okay.
the other one
Alright.
You're kidding me.
is a barren wasteland. It's up to each player to work with what they've got. Will there be peace between the islands, or
Wait, so let me get this straight. There are 2 islands. One is rich, one is poor. Okay. Roaming banks with this 70 mil on a 2.5 hour video. Exactly, bro. 70 mil in 1 month. Insane. He must have made so much money, bro. Holy shit. I know a few who stage the whole thing. No, but how do you stage like how do you stage with 1,000 people? Like, think about it. The amount of logistics you need to stage a video with 1,000 people. I don't think it's doable, guys. I don't think it's doable. It's not feasible at all. That's what I think. I think it's real.
What ended up happening is the single most amazing story arc.
Wait, is that rocket? Wait, hold on. Wait, is that rocket? It's a rocket. Hold on.
All I will say
What the frick?
is pick a nation to root for.
Can we rocket in Minecraft? Wait, Warden. Oh my god. It's a Warden. Oh no. Foreshadowing, guys. Foreshadowing. Holy shit. It's Warden in this video. Oh no.
In these videos, join my Discord server, and of course, subscribe to my channel. All right, we got 1,000. Good luck, everyone.
Okay, so they're split between. Okay, I see.
It was the beginning of
Underage.
day 1, and all 1,000 players began to explore their new homes.
What is this place?
They're so cool, guys. I want to join
Before
like
the
something like
first day,
this.
I had made
That'd be so
everyone
cool.
choose randomly between
Not gonna
Island
lie.
1 and Island 2. And I didn't tell them that one of the islands, the first one, would be a barren wasteland. Hey, you guys
Ooh,
having a
shit.
good time?
Wait, there are no trees. Wait, where are the
Nothing
trees?
here. Please tell me where the trees
That's so
are, bro. I
sad.
cannot find anything.
It didn't take long for the people who chose Island 1 to realize they had made a massive mistake.
I hate this place. I hate this place. I hate this place.
Players realized that building civilizations on Island 1 would be particularly challenging. And not only
Oh,
because it
no.
was empty, but because some parts of it were completely uninhabitable, like the snow biome. Oh no! No! Oh!
Oh, rip.
And
He's
right
dead.
next
He
door,
did.
A massive
He did.
volcano that could erupt at any moment.
Ooh, I'm not going down there.
This volcano also happens to heat up all the water
Wait,
on the
what?
island.
Wait. Oh my goodness. Boiling water? Damn, that's evil. That's actually so evil. Oh my goodness. Bro, this guy's evil, man.
Okay.
This
Holy
killed
shit.
a lot of people. Now,
Wait, this one was not staged actually, but many scenes were like reshooted later in production for more clarity and a better story, as far as I know. Yeah, I think it's fine, right? I think it's fine if they did it like post production, like reshooting. But as long as the overall thing is real, I think it's fine. That's what I think.
begin building civilizations, the players needed to find a tree.
Please tell me where the trees are, bro.
Wood is an essential material, and without it, you really can't do anything. Now, luckily for Island 1, there was one tree on the island, and it was pretty big too.
Ooh.
But, of course,
Big tree,
it
big
was
tree.
completely surrounded by boiling water.
Wait, what?
You've got to be kidding me.
Meanwhile, let's
What
go over
the?
to Island 2.
Oh my god. Yo, the different vibes, man. The vibe check, man.
Life
Insane.
on Island 2 was beautiful.
No, even the
terrain
music
was
is so
green,
different.
The trees were plentiful, and the water was normal temperature.
Open
This is for the follow, Shaft. Thank you, thank you.
Selling water? This is from the ocean? Are you trying to make me drink ocean water?
No.
The people on Island 2 immediately realized they had chosen the island of safety and wealth. You are literally a piece of gold.
Yeah.
The only real danger on Island 2 was the possibility of falling down from a tree as you're collecting wood.
I feel
But
like,
some
guys,
people
guys.
found a way to even work around that.
I feel like if you die on a rich island on day one, you're just dumb, right? Because like how do you die on day one in a rich island? There's nothing killing you. Like you must be so dumb to die on day one. Like imagine joining this server, joining this experiment, and then die on day one. Bro, you must be so mad, man. You can't be so dumb to die on day one. I'll rage quit. I'll rage. I'll be so
You're
mad.
planning to build a bakery,
Yes, I am.
and you're forcing your employees to go up and get oak.
Oh, no.
She forcing you to work up here.
Hey, no. It's double carrots, triple carrots.
I don't want
say
carrots.
anything.
I want fair working conditions.
Also, because of the vast amounts of trees, people were very quickly able to craft tools that allowed them to mine underground. Hello, Saps. You doing okay?
Yeah, I mean, this island's great.
So many diamonds already.
Yeah,
Wow.
look at this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm loaded.
Damn,
Overall,
he
the
rich,
people
bro.
of
He
Island
rich.
2 were
He's
thrilled
loaded.
with their new home, thrilled with their wealth, and they were very optimistic about their future. By the end of the first day,
Hi, Subsy.
players
Hello,
on
hello.
Island 1 had finally
Hello.
reached the big tree. You realize how high up you are?
Oh yeah, I know. We're not scared.
No?
No pain, no gain.
Island 1 was still pretty far from having
No
fully
pain, no
fledged
gain.
civilizations, but there were communities starting to form. For example, this player named Remy the Rats made a small restaurant to feed those who were
Oh,
serving.
so cute.
Remy
It's
the
a
Rat.
rat.
Who's serving them here? It's very popular. Bread.
Wait, hold on, wait. Isn't this from Ratatouille? Hold on. Isn't Remy from Ratatouille the chef rat, the animation? Isn't it? Wait, am I wrong? Am I tripping? It's from Ratatouille, right? It's the rat from Ratatouille. Hello Zaki, hello, welcome.
Frick, why? Wait, is this a bread line?
Oh my god, bread lines.
I also got word that there was a small group of people who had chosen to settle in a weird location.
People at the volcano.
What type of people would choose to live in
Huh?
a volcano?
Wait, why would you live at the
guys.
volcano?
Hello.
Wait, what?
the
Hey, how's it going?
What the fuck?
Welcome to the mafia.
This was Lingolini,
Mamma
and he had
mia.
recruited about 20 people to join his Italian mafia. His goals were very
Wait, you're Little
simple,
Mario,
make
what the
friends
frick?
and get rich.
Mario?
Hold on, Ish, can we tell you a little secret?
Wait, hold on, is that Kirby? Wait, there's a Kirby and a Mario. What the frick? What's going on here?
Oh,
Is it like
really?
Nintendo?
Don't tell anyone.
The Nintendo
though. We're trying to
Mafia?
Keep it between us.
We'll check back in with these guys later, but in the meantime, on Island 2, there were actual huge civilizations starting to form.
I don't care about
Ooh.
power. I don't care about government. I just want to make a nice place for my people to live.
This player named
Hmm.
Colmy Cass was the leader of about 50 people in a nation she named the Cass Coalition. And a coalition it was of very different types of people, including pirates, bankers, Canadian
Wait,
cartels,
pirates?
bakery owners, and their employees.
Pirates?
Want fair working
Like One
conditions.
Piece?
How much even being paid to work up here?
Damn.
Paid? People are getting paid?
Bro, guys,
later-
they're taking, like, people on this server, they're like taking this RP very seriously, guys. Damn, they're role playing so hard. Damn. Holy shit. The RP is insane. No, it kind of makes me want to play Minecraft again, to be honest. This video makes me want to play Minecraft again. They all say they don't care about any of those, but behind all the facade, there's a thirst for dominance over the land. Yeah.
The day
True, true.
Island 2 would face its first
Uh-oh.
conflict.
I'm in danger.
The heck?
Hey, you guys can't be destroying the beach.
Who are you?
A group of about
Damn,
20
wait,
people were
that's sick, man, that's
extracting
sick.
sand
Who
from
are
the
you?
shore right next
Yo,
to the
he was
Cass
aura
Coalition.
farming. Holy
Cass
shit.
was obviously not happy about this, but these people didn't care because they were from a much bigger nation called the Commonwealth.
Wait, as in like the UK?
We're actually 5 nations
Commonwealth?
combined into one, so we have strength in numbers.
The Commonwealth was a massive civilization that was formed on day 1 when 5 distinct groups were close enough to each other that they just decided to come together and unify under one nation. As a result, the Commonwealth had a government with 5 leaders at the top and over 150 citizens.
5 leaders.
Turn this mountain into our city currently.
Ah, okay. The Commonwealth leaders were very ambitious and wanted to make the Commonwealth the most beautiful, the most respected, the most powerful nation on Island 2, even if it came at the expense of others. Overall, by the end of the
Wait,
day,
that does sound like the
Island 2
UK,
was
to be
much
honest.
further ahead than Island 1,
It is the
as
UK.
expected. But let's see what happens in the following days.
Damn, wait, it's only day 1? Bro, we're like 8 minutes in. Damn, I'm hooked, guys. I'm actually hooked. I'm getting hooked. Bro, this guy is so good at creating videos.
As
Holy
players
shit.
logged back in the next day, nobody was expecting that the beginning
And the amount of
day
editing
2
they
would end
put
up
into this
having
video
one
is
of the most
insane.
consequential moments
Wow.
of the entire event.
Wait, what? Huh?
Revy the Rats was running his restaurant when he received a visit from a player named Spoon.
Knight, I need food, I'm dying.
Yo, Spood.
Yeah.
I do have food. You're private,
but What?
I need food. Oh, God, I'm too kind. I care about everyone else before myself. It's such a problem.
Now this player
Wait,
Spoon
what?
was a
Wait, that is so arrogant. Oh my goodness. That is so arrogant. That is so fake. Oh my goodness.
rising leader on Island 1. He was known for always giving away his own food. But some people started to suspect that Spood's supposed generosity was merely a method to gain popularity, to further his political ambitions. That is, until...
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Did he die? Oh no. The guy attacking him died.
He was trying to assassinate Spoon.
Oh. Wait, he survived. Wow. So lucky.
Spood had survived an assassination attempt, which brought him exactly the attention he needed to cement himself as a legend on Island 1. People were drawn to him, and on day 2, Spood used this leverage to establish an empire
Yeah, that's smart.
named Westhelm.
This guy's smart.
These people have made me emperor. This right here is going to be our capital. We're also building a massive colosseum.
Wait, what?
You mean
A
we're
colosseum?
fighting to the death?
Exactly.
This seems like Rome. You know the Roman Empire? They're literally role-playing a Roman Empire. Holy crap. The players' selection was a bit in different way. The applications team for the event really wanted people who don't just aimlessly kill people or... Oh, I see. So they actually did like an interview. Ooh. That's interesting. That's interesting. So like, they did like a interview process, like selecting process for the social experiment, huh?
We're still struggling
I see.
with food and resources.
Oh, that makes
Their
sense.
motivation
That makes sense why they're so good at like RPing. That makes sense.
to succeed was unbelievably high.
Earlier, somebody tried to take my life. Someone with this face. But now, he's dead.
Ooh,
For the
boo.
first time, it seemed like the people of Island 1 had hope.
The Ballad of Emperor Spoon. Nearly killed by some dude.
Wait, damn, that's tight. Holy shit. That's good.
Island 1 was
Oh, they even have,
finally
like,
starting
songs.
to develop civilizations, but not all of them were as motivated
Damn,
as Westhelm.
they're taking this really,
Right next
really
door,
seriously,
for
huh?
example, was a cult named Nevermore that literally just boxed themselves in and wanted nothing to do with the rest of the world.
Nevermore.
The Raven. Nevermore.
And honestly, these guys weren't wrong to be pessimistic. See, some of the people who chose Island 1 had secretly been hoping that
Literally
when
a
they
cage.
finally make it underground,
You made a
they would
cage.
find troves of iron and diamonds. But instead, they only found a giant layer of lava that stemmed from the volcano and covered the entire
Yo, that's
island.
evil, bro. That's evil. Damn.
This lava
That's so
layer
evil.
ended up killing a lot of people. That said, a lot of people
Rip,
weren't
rip.
necessarily angry at the poor
07.
conditions themselves, but more so about the inequality between Island 1 and Island 2. See, even though the two islands had a border separating them, preventing anyone from crossing for now, rumors were spreading about the wealth and the amazing environment of Island 2. Because of this, some people on Island 1 were starting to develop some feelings about the other island.
Island 2 might be the better island, but we're the better people.
Oh, in fact,
I mean, he's right,
artists
he's
on
right.
Island 1 were already making propaganda posters.
Wait,
some of which were
propaganda?
rather concerning, including
Wait,
a few
wait,
creations by our
what?
mafia leader.
Wait, propaganda? Wait, how they making this in Minecraft? Wait, how? Wait, what? How did they send the propaganda in Minecraft? Like, how did they make these posters in Minecraft? Wait, am I being dumb? No, right? How's it possible? How are they spreading the propaganda in... Oh, wait. Oh, maybe on Discord. Wait, hold on. Maybe they're sending it on Discord. More than Pain? Yeah, no, I thought they made it in Minecraft, like as in like in the game. Yeah, I think you're right, Shaf. You're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I thought they made this in Minecraft, like as in like they made it pixel by pixel. You know, like the map, like the... Like, you know how you make maps in Minecraft, right? Like, I made like pixel art in Minecraft. Like, I thought they did that in Minecraft. That'd be insane, right? That would be insane. I thought they did that. But never mind, I'm just being dumb. Let's continue.
Speaking of Lingolini, there was
Wait, hold on. Let's go back. It took 30 hours. I ingot. Wait, what? That's sad. That's so sad.
creations by
30
our mafia
hours for
leader,
Iron Gut.
Lingolini. Speaking of Lingolini, there
That's
was
so
some
sad.
drama on the volcano on day 2.
I just survived an assassination attempt.
Oh no, not Mario.
Whoa. Mamma mia, help me! I'm getting chased!
Lego like
Bro, he's excellent, bro.
and I had to run down the mountain.
It was becoming a pretty common occurrence on Island 1 for people
Bro, it's so hard to take him seriously. It's so hard. He's excellent. It's so dumb.
to try to rob or murder as a means to get food or resources. But Lingolini was not going to let that slide. Well, what are you gonna do about that then?
I put the hit out on him.
Wait, what?
Everybody in the mafia knows that the Lego Lex is an enemy of the mafia.
Wait, what? Wait, they put a
During
bounty on
that
him?
interview- Oh wait, who's coming out over here?
Shit.
There's some people coming
Oh,
out.
those
It's
are
getting
people from
real.
Infernus, they're our allies.
Oh, really? Lingolini had decided to share his volcano territory with a larger group called Infernus, whose main goal was to preserve and protect
Infernus.
the sacred land of the
Ooh.
volcano. I spoke with the leader, a player named Seneca, who described herself as the Queen of Infernus.
We are a nation of the flame. We have to treat the volcano with the respect it deserves, and we hope we can work with Lingolini to do just that.
Seneca
Wait,
and
what?
Lingolini agreed to protect each other in case of an invasion.
So
and
they're
use the
allies then, huh?
volcano's height and flowing lava to their advantage.
Oh, okay.
Anybody tries to attack us,
Uh.
we'll kick them out like a Koopa shell.
Now, speaking
Bro,
of
it's so in character, I
invasions, on
swear.
day 2, the Cass
Damn,
Coalition was
he's
approached
so
by
serious.
an army of boats.
He's so in character.
Guys, I think we're under attack.
Oh no.
It looks like
Oh,
for
no.
some reason the Commonwealth
rip.
was coming to attack.
No, we can't fight this. We
Oh
gotta
shit, run,
Get
run,
her out
guys,
now.
run.
But after a few moments of panic, it turned out to be just a group of immigrants who had gotten lost.
Wait, what?
Not here to invade, I swear.
Oh, that's so lucky. Oh my god. I really thought that they're gonna attack them. Because of the sand stuff, of the beach. Bro, I really thought they were gonna attack.
But I didn't do anything. I just followed them.
them all.
I didn't do anything. The leader of the migrants, a player named 3 Below Zero,
Wait, that's
profusely
Squidward?
apologized for
It's
the
Squidward.
scare, and then the migrants took off. What's going on, Cass?
I know they didn't mean to do that. I'm telling my people not to worry.
Glad to hear.
Yeah, the music is a banger.
Players
Damn.
had finally
Banger
realized
music.
that Island Island 2 was not technically an island at all, but an archipelago or chain of islands. The northern island was an optimal
that's cool.
place to settle with open fields, trees, and wildlife. So naturally it had the biggest civilizations, including the Commonwealth, the Caste Coalition, and a huge kingdom named Tricolor ruled by a monarch named Jophiel.
The red stands for the underground, the green for plains, and the blue for the coast.
The center island,
Okay.
meanwhile, had pink cherry blossom trees and was the home of a small nation called Barbieland.
Wait, what? Barbieland?
is this?
Life in plastic?
Oh god.
It's fantastic.
What the frick? There's
And
Barbieland.
lastly,
Wait,
the
what?
southern island was big, but also extremely
That's insane.
dense, flooded with jungles and swamps. As a result, nobody really wanted to stay there. Although I did find one person. Saps, what is this?
Can't you tell? This is my vacation home.
How's this a vacation home? I don't see any lawn chairs or furniture. There's no
Hey,
roof.
hold your horses there, cowboy. It's not done yet.
Saps was one of the few players who chose not to join any civilizations because he didn't want to get dragged into politics and drama. Still, he made lots of friends across Island 2, his best friend Flux actually being the second in command of the migrant group. Speaking of,
Okay.
3 Below Zero and the migrants had finally reached their destination.
Oh,
all
nice,
the
they found a
way
home.
up north. Now, other than
Nice.
accidentally invading the Caste Coalition, these guys seemed pretty insignificant. But little did people know, this new civilization was about to change the entire world.
Oh, change the world?
We are blessed to live where we live, and we intend to use it for good. We are enlightened. We are the light. We are Luminara.
Oh, damn. Wait, I got choose.
The migrants had decided to call their
I got choose,
civilization
bruh.
Luminara. They saw themselves
That's so good.
as the light of Island 2. The
Are they like a cult?
innovators, the
It sounds like a
inventors.
cult, to be honest.
See, the reason 3 Below Zero had chosen this specific location to settle, well, it wasn't by accident.
What?
After
Wait,
the first day,
why?
3 Below Zero had used content and propaganda released by the people of Island 1 to estimate the location of the other island. He then used a coordinate system to calculate the northernmost
that's
point
smart.
of Island 2.
dude, that's so
His
smart.
goal was to settle as closely as possible to the other island so that when the
Oh.
day comes, when the borders drop, Luminara can build a massive
A breach?
connecting the two
Oh, that's bad
islands,
idea,
giving
guys.
free passage as
Oh,
a
no.
sign of good faith to perhaps
Bro,
bring
he's so
about
wrong.
world peace.
Wait, no. Why building a bridge? They're trying to kill you. Are you dumb? What are you trying to do, bruh? They're saying to kill like Island 1, Island 2, sorry. They wanted to kill Island 2. Look at the propaganda. Why, what's going on in your mind, bruh? Squidward. Bruh. That is so dumb. You're gonna die.
But
You're gonna
it
get
wouldn't
wiped
be
out.
that simple. The second in command of Luminara, Flux, as well as a few concerned citizens, did not want that bridge to be built. They had seen the Island 1 propaganda.
Yeah, exactly,
They knew
exactly.
that people on Island 1
Why?
were angry.
Why would you do
Their
that?
fear was that Island 1 would just use that bridge as an opportunity to invade Luminara and perhaps invade the rest of Island 2, leading to a world war.
That bridge is a bad idea. Moving up north was a bad idea. Island
Yeah,
1
I agree.
is
I
going
actually
to
agree.
invade us, and
I agree with him.
Luminara is going to be their first target.
Yeah, they're gonna die. You're gonna die first.
I respect our leader's goal, but he's dead wrong.
Yeah, he's
We
right.
shouldn't be trying to
Flux is right.
befriend our enemies. The way we're going to achieve world peace is by uniting Island 2 against Island 1.
What if 3 Below Zero says no? What if they finish the bridge?
Well, then at least they'll know I tried to warn them when Island 1 comes and kills us all.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah, guys, why are you building a bridge? They're trying to kill you. They're just making it easier for them to kill you. That makes no sense.
As day 2 came to an end, tensions were
That is
rising
so-
both
that's so
within
optimistic.
nations and between islands, leaving people worried about what's going to happen next.
Wait, that's just day 2? Bro, that's so much happened.
Back on Island 1,
Wow.
I was watching a small group of pirates who called themselves Al Karasina.
Carasino, my friend. We're the baddest pirates around.
Now, if you look closely, there was
One Piece,
a
One
person
Piece.
of interest hanging around with the pirates.
Oh wait, that's the guy who attacked Mario.
Just they take me out of nowhere and I had to run down
Lego
the
likes.
Well, what are you gonna do about that then?
I put the hit out on him.
So to be clear, Lego Likes had a bounty on his head, and he was hanging around pirates. You could probably guess how this ends.
Yo, Lego Zanga's here. So is this is everything you guys got, huh?
Uh-oh.
Not much.
I'm in danger. Rip.
They're boiling him. Oh my gosh.
He did. GG. 07 guys,
The
07.
Al-Karasina pirates
Rest
had
in peace.
killed Lego Likes, but there was a small problem. Did you hear about the news?
Yeah, I saw it, but we don't know who claimed the bounty. It didn't say it in the chat.
Because Lego Likes had technically died to boiling water instead of a player, Lingolini didn't know who actually killed
Oh.
him. But fortunately for the pirates, when a player dies, the dead player drops their own head, which the pirates
Oh,
believed would
yes,
be the
yeah, they
proof
dropped their head.
needed to
You're
collect
right.
their bounty later today.
It's right.
So you're expecting a payment later?
Yes.
Wait, wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Is that Perry the Wait, what? Wait, is that Perry? Wait, that's Perry. Wait, hold on. That's Perry from what's the name called? The cartoon. That's Perry the platypus.
Well, I'll go.
Yeah, you're right, Shah.
By day 3, players had basically mapped out all of Island 1 and were finally starting to adapt to the environment.
Day 1 was horrific. We literally had bread lines. Day 2, we're building a coliseum, a citadel. I am literally immortal. Hopefully that isn't foreshadowing.
Emperor's Food was
Is he
still
like
the most
Julius Caesar?
powerful man on
Is he like wait, is he role playing as Julius Caesar? I feel like he is. Foreshadowing? Oh no, wait, does he die? Is he gonna die? No, I like him. He's cool.
Island 1. And on day 3, he was invited to a big international meeting hosted by a charity group called the Blue Cross.
Oh, it's a Timu version of Red Cross. Oh.
the volcano erupts. What are your individual plans?
A large bunker underground.
Just not using flammable materials.
We don't have any real plan, you know.
What? You don't have plans? If that volcano erupts, you deserve to die.
Damn. Wait, what?
Emperor Spoon had come in with good intentions, but it was there that he learned
Bro,
that
he just
hates
chose violence,
meetings.
man.
I'm gonna go there.
That's insane.
When Emperor
Just see
Spoon
that.
left, the other leaders were unsettled. Was this guy really the figurehead of Island 1?
Okay, we need a better representative.
Then, basically right on cue.
Elysium diplomats, follow me. Bodyguards.
Sorry guys, sorry, I'm late.
This is Benji, and he's the leader of Island 1's second biggest civilization, called Elysium. See, on day 2,
Elysium.
Benji had discovered that toward the outer edges of the island, away from the volcano, the water isn't boiling hot anymore. So he founded Elysium, which literally translates to a place of ideal happiness. And he made the nation to give peace-loving people a chance to relax and get away from all the troubles of Island 1.
Yo, look at the farm. Holy shit, that's huge.
Look at these Elysian guys swimming in the water.
We were hoping that Lord Ish could summon a single mushroom cow.
Alright, if anyone drops a pufferfish in the next 60 seconds, I'll do it.
What do I have to do? What do I have to do? We need the pufferfish. Quick.
There it is.
Alright.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh. No, no queue for leather. Why? Yeah, food. Yeah, if you have food.
A full Island 1 alliance. All the leaders at the meeting, including Westholme's representatives, believed that given the harsh conditions of Island 1, an island-wide alliance could be a game changer. But first,
Before we make this official, we have to convince everyone else to join.
see, there were a few civilizations not
Wait,
present
there's
at
more?
the meeting, and to complete the full Island 1 alliance, the Blue Cross would have to go out and get them all on board.
There's so many
First
nations.
was the
Oh my god.
Al-Karasina pirates, who coincidentally happened to pass by the meeting as it
Oh,
was
the pirates.
happening.
Harry.
They were on their way to collect their bounty from the second nation not yet in the alliance, the Lingolini Mafia. Oh, yes,
Mario.
they're waiting.
Mamma.
Hello, it's me. Ooh, mamma mia. idea. It looks like a small brain. It sure looks like a Lego lights.
Meanwhile, the Nevermore cult would probably be a little bit more difficult to convince, but the Blue Cross said they'd try anyway. Now, as for the fourth and final nation, well, it was a bit of a mysterious group.
Yo,
Their
that's sick.
civilization was
That's
down
sick.
south, and they were very
That's dope.
isolated and secretive.
Wait,
They
wait,
were
do you guys see
also
the two
rumored to have
statues at the
extremely
front?
strict governments, but also
Damn,
a
look at
large
that.
amount of
That's so
very
cool.
skilled fighters. As a result, people were kind of scared to approach them, but they knew they had to
Oh, they got
eventually to
PvP. Oh, I
complete
see.
the Blue Cross Alliance. They knew
Yeah,
that
like
if this alliance
PvP
works
play-
out, it wouldn't
PvPers.
matter that they all lived on the poor island. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the most powerful force in the world would become Island 1. At first, Island 1 was supposed to lose, but now they were on the verge of turning their lives around completely.
Dude, they're having so much fun. Oh my god, it looks so fun. I wanna join. I wanna join the next one. Wait, what? Wait, no. What? Wait, why?
As you
Wait, is
can
it
see,
attack?
there was a bit of commotion at the Commonwealth.
Oh, it's
They had
enemy.
just exploded their own land because
Wait.
of a miscommunication.
Huh? Wait, they exploded their
What
own
happened
farm?
was one of the 5 leaders, Coraline, got the idea that the Commonwealth was planning to
Why?
move east. So she started telling everyone to move. Thus, believing that they wouldn't need their old land anymore, one of the citizens just decided to blow it up.
I thought we were moving. What? We're not moving. I'm surrounded by idiots.
Overall, the
I mean, she's
Commonwealth was
right.
having
I guess he's
trouble
right.
getting anything done
He's
because
right.
the 5 leaders were constantly fighting over power.
Like, guys, who chooses to explode their farm? Like, seriously, that's so dumb. Why? Why will you TNT your entire base? Just because you're moving? That makes no sense. That is so
See,
dumb.
there were 5 leaders, each with
You can just come back, right?
But
It's like a
because there
second
were
base.
originally 5 separate nations, each with a differing amount of citizens. Should the smallest factions vote have the same weights as the biggest factions vote?
It is ridiculous that Alvin's
Oh, just
vote is worth the
politics,
same as
I
mine.
guess.
I mean, I need about
It's
50
politics.
people, and he has barely 5.
Because of all the fighting and
Damn, I
disarray,
hate politics, guys.
Commonwealth citizens started moving to other
It's so
nations
annoying.
like the Cass Coalition. Cass's style of governing, letting people do whatever they want, was making her very popular with her people.
I've been with Cass since pretty much the beginning, and she's established a democracy, a true one.
Focused on like letting everybody do their thing.
But at the same time, the lack
that's
of
cool.
any regulations had some unintended consequences, like players making strange and ugly buildings. So to solve this,
How's that? Wait, it's fine, guys. It's fine. What do you mean ugly, bruh? It looks fine to me.
Cass hired
It's
a
art.
building inspector.
I have placed a
It's
lot of
art.
foundation for a glorious city, basically made out of stone.
Wait, what? They have an inspector?
However, the building inspector did get a little power hungry. What's going on here?
Oh shit!
gonna demolish my house because it's not up to building code.
Yeah, this bro.
So then, citizens took
Yeah,
matters
bureaucracy.
into their own hands.
Holy crap! Ooh, ooh, that's too much.
Anyway, on day 3,
Wait, they killed
the
him because of
biggest
that?
nations on Island 2 were still the Commonwealth,
Damn,
the
that's-
Cass Coalition, and
That's too much,
Tricolor.
guys. That's
Tricolor
overboard.
was a medieval civilization separated into 3 regions, one of them being an underground city.
All hit
Oh
mine.
my gosh.
Ooh,
This is big.
like a dominant city.
People didn't really know
That's
that
so
much
cool.
about Jofiel and Tricolor because they tended to be more private. Jofiel was more interested in building up Tricolor rather than doing outside
Yo, wait,
diplomacy.
wait, look at the castle. Look at that. Wait,
To be more private. Jofiel was more interested in building up Tricolor
bro, look at the castle. Bro, I'll now be able to build this, guys. Bro, I have no talent in building in Minecraft. I can't build for shit. I think most of you know, right? I can't build stuff in Minecraft. The best for me is like a dirt house, for real. The builds are really nice. Yeah, look at that, bro. I will never build that in Minecraft ever in my life. I'm so shit at building.
rather than doing outside diplomacy. But people would still come to Jofiel with all the political news of Island 2.
I am so tired of the politics already.
Same. Same.
Are concerned with Aperion trying to colonize them.
Oh
Wait, what? Colonize?
Now, this particular rumor
Oh,
about
no.
a group named Aperion colonizing
Oh,
people
no.
happened to be false. Aperion
Oh,
was just
thank
a
God.
small town led by a player named Alkaline, and it was actually the only nation
Thank
other
God that was
than
fake.
Luminara that directly bordered the ocean next to Island 1. That said, the rumor that Island 1 was uniting was true, which got some people worried, especially the two border states. So, Jofiel invited over all the major leaders and diplomats of Island 2 for an emergency
that's smart, that's smart.
meeting. The
Yeah, they should do
leader
that.
who declined was 3 Below Zero because he was
Bro,
busy
Squidward
building
is
the
so
Luminara
dumb.
Bridge. So he sent in his place his second in command, Flux.
Oh, good idea, good idea. That's a good
Flux, what's your
idea.
plan here?
I don't care what 3 Below Zero says.
You know,
we
you
need to
know what,
make-
guys? You know what? I feel like Flux should be the leader instead of Squidward. That's what I think. I don't think Squidward should be the leader. He's too optimistic. He's too idealistic. That's what I think. I think he should be the leader instead of Squidward.
Sure, everyone unites against Island 1.
Good
Just
luck,
realistic,
sir.
right?
And because this meeting was the most important event yet on Island 2, Jofiel invited a neutral mediator, someone who could lead the meeting in a fair manner
Oh.
and wasn't a part of any nation.
Oh, that's really smart.
Saps, where are you going?
So they have like a neutral party.
Meeting with all the Island 2 leaders.
You sound very
Oh.
excited about it.
Oh no, I'm not excited. I'm terrified. I'm accidentally gonna cause a war.
Oh no. Dude, the amount of politics in this video, oh my god. I didn't expect this.
Well, we at the great and mighty Commonwealth are looking forward to a productive conversation.
I mean, okay, guys, to be honest, right, I'm not a huge fan of Commonwealth. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think my favorite is Flux so far. He's the most realistic here, you know. And he's thinking about the future of Island 2, right? He's like preparing for the danger. Hi, Random Fresh. Hello, Random. Hello, Fisherman. Hello. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome. Damn, yeah, you're watching Pick this film. It was so good. Yeah, I saw this on TikTok, by the way. I saw this on TikTok. And people were saying that this is better than the real Minecraft movie. Yeah. That's why I'm watching this. Because actually, I watched the Minecraft movie. I thought that was cringe. That was so bad. I didn't like it. If I was a ruler, I would make a giant TNT farm to set up a giant bomber squad defense group. Same. You're right, Swifty. You're right. Me too.
So, as the president of Aperion, I'm actually really worried about our town, which is why I'm proposing we all join a defense pact. If one of us gets attacked, all of us are under attack.
Ooh.
I can agree to
Yeah,
that.
I like that. That's good.
That's a good start, but if Island 1 attacks, say, Luminara, well, by the time you can even arrive to defend us, everyone at Luminara will already be dead.
Yeah,
Which
he's
is
right.
Why I think we need to focus our efforts on preventing an attack in the first place.
An attack is
Let's-
inevitable.
What?
I'm just saying.
Hold on, Flux. Let
Oh.
Jovial finish.
Island 1 is starving. They're not going to attack us. They have bigger problems. And imagine for a second how quickly we could change
Okay.
their hearts and minds if, instead of treating them as an enemy, we send them aid.
No, okay, that's dumb. That's dumb. That is so dumb. They're trying to kill you guys. They just send out propaganda to kill you guys. And you gotta give them more weapons and stuff to kill them. To kill you guys. What were you guys thinking? Bruh. That is so dumb. That's ass. That's ass take. L take. That's so dumb. Bro, they're jealous of Island 2. Island was gonna attack. Obviously. And you gotta give them more weapons to fight you, to kill you, to take over you. Bruh. Bro, I'm not liking this Jofiel guy, guys. This Jofiel guy is like kind of ass.
I think Joe feels right.
What?
We do the defense pact, but we also send aid to Island 1. Basically, we're ready for an attack, but we try our best to prevent it. I'm on board with that.
It's not gonna
I can
work.
agree to that. The Commonwealth agrees.
Guys, no, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so naive. Yeah,
Island 1
exactly.
is literally making propaganda saying death to Island 2.
Exactly.
They're jealous that we live in a paradise, and they're gonna invade us no matter what. And you wanna send aid to them? Guess what? They're gonna take whatever you send them. Food, armor, weapons, and they're gonna use all of that against
Yeah.
us.
Flux is right.
He might have a point.
Hold up. I don't One isn't evil. They're not savages. They just need help.
You cannot be this naive.
Well, there's a guy.
Exactly.
There's a guy under the table.
They're so naive.
There's a guy under the table.
Everyone is super.
Wait, what?
on edge,
With this guy under the
worried about
table?
Guys, Island 1 is united. They have hundreds of people all aligned in the same goal, to kill us and take our resources. If they decide to attack any single one of our nations, it'll be easy. All they'll need to do is walk ahead, which is why we need to either
True.
merge all of our nations. Right now, we all choose a spot and combine
Okay.
into
I don't think they should merge into one nation. I don't believe that. But it's not gonna work, right? Like, because of politics and stuff. Like, how do you settle who's the leader, right? That's not gonna work, obviously.
one civilization. Either that, or we attack Island 1 first.
Ooh, wait, that's smart.
What's crazy?
Wait, I'll do the
is
same.
you leading all of us to our death.
Oh my
That is
god.
too much. We can't do that.
Yo, Flux is W Flux.
The end of Island 2.
We can't do that.
Yeah, W. He's right. He's right.
Everyone, we can't fight. Let's just vote. All in favor of Flux's plan to treat Island 1 as an enemy, say aye.
Aye.
I. No. No.
All in favor.
Oh my goodness. They're so dead. They're all dead, guys. Island 2 is... Bro, they're gone. They're gone. They're so gone. Damn. Island 2 is dead, guys. Hear me out. They are gonna die. Rip.
Meanwhile, at West Helm, I ran into something interesting.
Wait, what? Island 1 ban? Wait, they have a ban? Yo, wait, guys, I think I know what's better here. So cool.
Well, he had joined a band that
They have a
produced
band.
actual songs and then performed them all across
Shit.
Island 1.
Up there in Wasteland Island,
Yo,
a boiling water sea. Let's go.
that's sick. That's so dope.
Except a water tree.
Let's go! Everyone loved the Island 1 band, including Emperor Spoot, who found that the music bolstered the morale of his citizens. He believed that a happy citizen is a productive citizen.
That's shaking his head like this.
West Helm took us in and gave us a little home.
Yo, what a
Even
banger.
though Emperor Spoot was a chaotic figure, West Helm itself was the opposite. It had an army, a storage system, and a hierarchy, from
Wait,
Emperor
what?
all the way down
Wait.
to Citizen or
Wait, they have an
an
entire
army,
system.
a storage system, and a hierarchy.
Bro, they have an entire ranking system. Damn, that's serious, guys. This is serious.
From Emperor all the way down
Shit.
to Citizen or Plebeian. And
Plebeian.
of course, there was the Colosseum, which when
Peasant.
finished will play a major role in West Helm's justice system. That said, Emperor Spood was not happy when he heard that yesterday, Benji and the other leaders had been talking poorly about him.
Okay, we need a best representative.
Uh-oh.
Our final goal is to put Benji Button in here. No, that is a joke. That is a joke.
You don't want Benji to die, do you?
Well, I mean,
Benji and the other leaders were concerned that Emperor
Uh-oh,
Spood is
Benji's-
unstable
uh-oh.
and may one day try to take
He's gonna
over
die.
the entire island.
Benji's
And
dead.
their concerns only grew when Spood was caught listening to Napoleon on Spotify.
Wait, what? Wait,
they
wait,
also
what? He's listening to
grew when
Napoleon?
Spood was caught listening to Napoleon on
Wait, what the fuck? Bro, this guy. Insane. It's actually insane.
Spotify. But they also knew
thinks
that
he's
if
Caesar,
Island 2
Julius
were to
Caesar.
ever attack, they needed Spood on their side, so they didn't know what to do.
Well, here we are.
Ooh. Yo, the riff. The riff.
Thank you, Spoon, for all your support. You're welcome. I'm the best. Glory to West Helm.
Yo, the self-pleasing, man. The self-pleasing.
Meanwhile, Seneca, the Queen of Infernus, had decided to begin building a massive castle for her people. A beautiful
wait, that looks so
home
cool.
base that would hover directly
Wait.
over the volcano.
Yo. It has like chains and stuff. Bro, that's sick.
Yesterday at
That's
the
tight.
Island 1 meeting, a lot of leaders
Ooh.
expressed worries about rumors
It's like-
that
it's
the
like Bowser's
volcano
Castle.
may erupt, and they talked about how they would each take different precautions. Everyone believed that the volcano was dangerous, except for Seneca, who had decided to take the opposite approach.
It's all just paranoia. If we really value the volcano, we need to have faith it won't erupt.
The main goal of Infernus as a civilization was to preserve the sacred land of the volcano. So what better way to show faith and demonstrate loyalty than to make your home right above it?
Okay, they're gonna die. They're gonna die.
Lady, meanwhile, decided to
See, this
make
guy's
his
gonna
home
die.
underground
Infernus is gonna die.
within the volcano.
No, it's gonna erupt and then Infernus. Okay, let me guess here. Let me take a guess. I guess that Infernus is gonna die when the volcano erupts. They literally have their home above a volcano. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? They're gonna die. They're all gonna die. They're so dead. Don't make it too obvious. Don't need to mask it. They just meet for a single reason, and that reason is for shits and giggles. Yeah, true. For fun.
Totally.
Under the ground, like a Goombas.
Lingolini's main goal was to get
Goomba.
rich, and having direct access to iron and gold was one reason for him and the Mafia to live there.
But I can't take him seriously, guys.
It wasn't
His accent is
the
like
main
so
reason.
freaking funny, man.
Remember this interaction from day one?
Hold on, Ish, can we tell you a little secret? We found some netherite.
Oh yeah, netherite.
Really? Scattered throughout the
Ooh.
volcano were pieces of netherite. The
Oh, dude,
rarest and most
that's a life
powerful
changer.
mineral in all of
That's a game changer.
Minecraft. Not even
Ooh.
Island 2 had netherite. It
Oh, but
was
they
the
need diamonds
single
though.
secret advantage
Wait,
that
they need diamonds for
Island
netherite
1
armor,
had.
right?
And the only
Wait, do they
ones who
wait?
knew
Hold
about
on,
it-
wait. Do they have diamond armor? Diamonds in Island 1? Because they need diamonds to mine netherite, right? To make netherite armor. They need diamonds. So, if they don't have diamonds on Island 1, it means that they need to go to Island 2 to get diamonds. To make netherite armor. Wait, so that does nothing, right? They need to get diamonds from Island 1. Yeah.
were the Lingolini Mafia and Infernus. Now, even though Infernus didn't exactly like how Lingolini was desecrating what they consider to be sacred land, they made a deal with him. The Mafia
Ooh.
can keep mining so long as they provide Infernus with some of the minerals they find.
Okay.
But Lingolini was unsatisfied.
They want to use us. They want cheap labor. I'm not giving them anything.
Lingolini didn't like
I mean,
how
he's right,
Infernus
though.
was basically
He's right.
forcing the Mafia to mine for them
They're
with
slaves.
nothing in return.
Slave miners.
So he secretly instructed everyone in the Mafia not to give Infernus anything.
Uh-oh. Something bad's gonna happen. I can tell. There's gonna be a conflict.
Lingolini's hope was that Infernus never asks for those minerals and forgets about the deal entirely. Otherwise, he would be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he's so dead. Mario is dead.
That said, despite this conflict, the rest of the Island 1 unification effort was going very well. Earlier today, Lingolini had decided to join the Blue Cross Alliance.
Oh, nice.
Thank you all so much for having me.
The Alcaracina pirates were also eager
Perry,
to join, and
Perry.
surprisingly, so was Nevermore.
Harry's back.
There was only one
Wait, we have
holdout.
Harry and Mario at the same place. What the frick? Ooh. Oh.
This mysterious civilization was called the Covenant, and it was
Yo, that's
ruled
sick,
by
the
a
name.
dictator named
The name is so
Turntap.
sick.
How are you
The
elected
Covenant.
exactly? By vote of the people or the vote of yourself?
Elected?
Yo, the name.
Turntap wasn't sure about joining
Wait,
the
what?
island
Wait, hold on, let me go back.
yourself.
Wait, hold on, let me go back.
Elected?
Wait.
How are you
I missed
elected
that.
exactly? By vote of the people or the vote of yourself?
Elected?
What's that? You know, it's
Turntap wasn't sure about
What's
joining the
that?
Island 1 Alliance because the people of the
What's
Covenant
democracy,
were
guys?
generally
What's
skeptical
voting?
of
What's that?
outsiders. They only
Huh?
took pride in their own
Nani?
nation, especially in their army, which was composed of really good PvPers who weren't above using torture to get their way. Are they drowning this guy?
No! Don't kill him.
Now, I felt a little bad for this player, so I threatened the Covenants. Covenant uses water torture. I'm reporting this to Sidefall News.
Wait, what's
So I went
what's
to
that
the
form
local
used? Wait,
news
what?
reporter. Sidefall,
What's
I have
that?
a story for you.
Oh,
I
news
just caught the
reporter.
Covenant waterboarding one of their own people.
Oh. Well, I'm paid off by them, so.
Wait,
I don't
what?
care.
Wait,
Dude, it's free money.
You know what?
Wait, he got
It's
peed
called a
off?
business for a reason. It's not for profit.
Wait, like in
Saifa
real
ran
life,
a news
guys. In
business
real
with
life.
questionable ethics. He was also known for making up fake
That's real life,
stories,
bro.
writing things like "the lava is rising" just to sell more papers. That said,
Wait.
earlier today he had made
Wait, he's literally fake news. He's CNN. Side 4 is CNN. Damn, he's role playing at CNN. That's dedication.
a legitimate discovery that could devastate the entire island. Island 1 had a lot of known dangers, from the lava layer to the boiling water to the powdered snow. But there was one last danger that nobody knew about.
Oh wait, it's the warden. From the start, at the starting. Yes, warden. Oh shit. Shit's gonna get real, guys. Shit's gonna get real. They are so dead. Island 1 is so dead. They have a freaking warden.
Meanwhile, the people of Island 2 had
They're
spent
so
the day
screwed.
building their civilizations and having a good time. Yesterday, their leaders had voted that whenever the border drops, Island 2 would send aid to Island 1, hoping this gesture would
Yeah,
lead to
that's so
peace.
dumb. Why would you send aid to your enemy? They're gonna use it against you. Like, they're gonna use your armor, the weapon you give them, and food to kill you. That's so dumb.
But not everyone agreed
They're
with
so
this
dead.
approach.
The end of Island 2.
Oh shit, wait, hold on. I just thought something. What if because they didn't know that they had netherite, right? They didn't okay, Island 2 doesn't know that Island 1 has netherite. So if Island 2 gives diamonds to Island 1, they're now able to make netherite armor. Oh shit. Oh shit. Bruh. Imagine.
When Flux returned home to Luminara, 3 Below Zero was furious at Flux for causing chaos at the meeting and for going against Luminara's values. 3 Below Zero, as the leader of
Screw is mad.
Luminara, was actually heavily in favor of sending
Oh my
aid
God.
to Island 1.
Wait,
the whole
I feel like
point of the
Flux here is the only
Luminara
one
parade
that's...
was to make peace with Island
Wait,
1,
let me
not
pause.
to start a
Sorry guys, let me pause it for a moment here. I think Flux is the only one here who is smart. Okay? I'm rooting for Flux here. For real. I think Flux is right. Yeah, they're all too optimistic. Bro, they have a bridge. Bro, if you're Island 1, you get a free bridge, you get free weapons, you get free armor, and then you are able to craft netherite armor. Of course you will attack Island 1. Sorry, Island 2. Right? You have the advantage now.
war. As a result, 3 Below Zero demoted Flux
No!
from his position
Squidward,
as second
you
in
dumbass.
command.
Wait, he kicked Flux out of
I spoke with
Luminara.
Legacy, a citizen of Luminara.
No.
Flux has been gone all day. People here don't really like him anymore.
Flux and his crew had spent the day building a secret bunker
For
under the
discrimination.
ocean, a place for them to hide if Island 1 attacks. And then Flux spent the rest of the day helping his best friend Saps
Aw.
finish building his home.
We're their best friends.
Despite all the chaos, Sap still reached out to me after I was demoted.
Mr. Mediator, what a good friend.
Flux over here can be a little unpredictable.
Wait, what do you mean unpredictable?
My
Sap,
friend.
you-
And I know he
Bruh.
genuinely wants the best for us.
Even though Flux was
He's
much
so
more
wrong.
ambitious than Saps, these two had become very good friends.
So many diamonds already.
Yeah,
Aw.
look at this. Yeah,
Kawaii.
But just
Bro.
as day 4 was about to come to a peaceful end, something happened that would change the course of Island 2 forever.
Yo, wait, this transition is so cool. It's like a GTA transition. Damn. Bro, the editing in this video, holy shit.
Jophiel, the leader of one of Island 2's
It's so
largest
good.
civilizations, was walking across Tricolor with her second in command,
Wait,
Seraphim.
is he gonna die? Oh no. Wait, oh yes, sorry, I hate him. Yes! Die! Die, Jophiel, die! Die! Get wrecked. You deserve it.
What are you doing?
Yes! Let's go! Let's go!
What?
No, guys, he's the one who said that they should send aid. I actually agree. I actually disagree. They shouldn't send aid. He deserved it, guys. He deserved it.
No way.
Deserved. W. W in the chat.
The second in command of Tricolor had just killed their own leader. And immediately, all of Island 2 went on lockdown.
What? Wait, what?
Everyone was confused about what caused this to happen. They killed Jofiel. Why? After Seraphim
Yeah,
fled,
why, actually?
Tricolor was in complete disarray.
I mean, it's a good thing, but why did he kill him? Why would you kill your leader
Back
if you're
in
second in
Saps'
command?
place, Flux told Saps it might be a good idea for him to call an emergency meeting with all the leaders.
Okay.
So, for the sake of the island, Saps agreed to host a meeting tomorrow. But for now, he and many others headed to Tricolor to help them restore order.
Wait, what? Wait, Luminara. The bridge. Wait. Oh! Oh! Wait! Wait, Flux! It was Flux! Wait! Hold on! Wait, it was Flux! Wait, Flux stood Seraphim to kill Jofiel. Oh shit! No, because he built a base, right? He built like a bunker underwater. So Seraphim is there to mix Flux. He's part of Flux gang. Oh shit. He's on Flux team. He's on the way to the secret bunker. Damn, that's insane. Yo, this is getting hot, guys. This peak.
Now, Island 2 wasn't the only place that would face tragedy.
It's so good.
Oh, what? The leader of the Al-Karasina pirates, Noble Bucket, died very suddenly. Alright, they sent me the footage of what happened.
Oh, no.
He doesn't
Oh
know
no. No, not the pirate. No, my One Piece. No, he's gone. My Luffy. He's dead. Luffy's dead.
Oh my god.
Oh, rip.
With world
F.
leaders dying
F.
left and right, the media had plenty to report
07.
on. The most trusted news company was from Elysium, called Daybreak Media.
We're number one because
Wait.
we actually report the truth, unlike that bozo.
Wait, so there's two news media in the server? Like, because there's Sidefall and Daybreak, right? So far? There's only two, right?
Sidefall.
Thing?
And later into day 5, the news would get even crazier.
Yeah, two medias, yeah.
For purposes of unity, the Covenant had finally decided to join the Blue
Oh, nice.
Cross Alliance.
Nice,
thus
Island 1. Island was
successfully
winning.
uniting the entirety of Island
Let's go.
1.
Island 1 W.
But right away, the strength of this alliance would be
Wait, what?
tested.
Wait. Huh?
Earlier, a citizen of Infernus had accidentally told someone outside of Infernus
Oh my god,
that there
no,
was
not on the right.
Netherite in the volcano. And
I
this
knew it, I
news
freaking knew
spread
it.
all across the island.
Freaking snitch. Bro, they just need to shut their mouth. Oh my goodness. Bro, who did that? Why? You freaking dumbass. Just shut up. Just keep it a secret. Bro. It is that hard? It's a snitch. It's a spy.
This was a disaster for Infernus and
Oh
the
no.
Lingolini Mafia.
Oh
that had been
no.
trying to keep
They're
the
getting invaded.
existence of Netherites to themselves.
They are so screwed.
Immediately
They are screwed.
after hearing about the Netherite, the
Mario is
Covenant
screwed.
sent a mining expedition into the volcano without telling
Oh
Infernus.
wait, oh no, wait. Is that the PvP guys? It is, right? Wait.
Rights to themselves. Immediately after hearing about the Netherite, the Covenant sent a
Yeah, the Covenant. Oh shit. Oh shit.
mining expedition into the volcano without telling Infernus. And lo and behold, they confirmed there was Netherite.
Oh no. Oh no. This is going to be bad, guys. Oh
Because
rip.
the Covenant had a scary reputation and a ruthless army, Queen Seneca of Infernus felt it was in her best interest to allow the Covenant to mine.
Okay.
But when other nations like Westhelm started asking if they too could mine in the volcano, Seneca said no.
Oh no, there's a conflict now. There's drama now. Oh no.
Saying we're being selfish? They're the ones being selfish, trying to take our resources.
What do you mean? Bro, Seneca is so wrong. Bro, you don't own the volcano. You don't own it. It's everyone's. That's L take. L take, I say.
Listen, Island 2 is rich. We are not.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now with Netherite, we actually have a chance of evening the playing field.
Yeah.
But the volcano people are hogging it.
Before any fighting could break out, the Blue Cross quickly reached out to all the leaders and told them to put this issue on hold.
We're inviting everyone here tomorrow, so we can all talk this through peacefully. We're Island 1. We cannot afford to have a war over some mineral.
Yeah, they're already dying. Like, they're already starving. And then are they gonna have a civil war over this? Like, it's gonna get worse, right? Like, they're already living in such poor conditions. If they have a war, they're screwed. They're so screwed.
Meanwhile, Island 2 was still processing the death of Jophiel.
Even though I was just a farmer, you know, you still made me
Wait,
feel important.
what?
Saps would
Wait, they
invite
have a
all
grave?
the leaders for a meeting later so they could coordinate a hunt for Seraphim and discuss
give me a
their
grave.
plans for when the border inevitably drops. Now, after Jophiel's death, Tricolor had lost a lot of its power. Which left the island with really one dominant nation, the Commonwealth.
No, not the Commonwealth.
Day 3, how the 5 Commonwealth
Guys, Commonwealth, more like Common L. Guys, Common L.
leaders were in constant fights with each other.
It is ridiculous that Almond's vote is worth the same as mine.
Well, this all came to a head on day 5 when one of the leaders was caught plotting to take control of the entire Commonwealth. So, another Commonwealth leader then
Oh,
paid
shit.
an assassin to, well...
Oh shit. Assassination.
Oh my god!
Yeah, this is what happens if you join politics, guys. This is what happens. You're gonna die.
After this, people from the Commonwealth lost even more faith in their governments. This Commonwealth citizen went to the Cass Coalition to complain to Cass directly.
I got information that there might be netherite on the other island.
Wait, how? Wait, how did they know? Wait, how? Wait, because there's a border, right? There's like a barrier. How did they know there's netherite on the other island? The Scott? Oh, maybe, yeah, you're right, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
Said, quote, netherite is useless.
Netherite
Oh
is,
my
of
God.
course, not useless. I think
Common
that's
L.
a foolish statement.
As the Commonwealth
Common L.
erupted, the Cass Coalition thrived. But they did have their own problems. Is this your employee?
Yes, he is.
Oh, it's the guy from day one.
Is he not getting paid?
Skip out on work.
You hear this woman?
Probably
Earlier, What Daddy had ditched work to attend a party in Barbie Land. So as punishment, his
Wait, he went to
employer
Barbie
forced him
Land?
to risk his life and chop down one of the tallest trees
Uh-oh.
in the Cass Coalition. He's asking for help.
I'm in danger.
Can't hear you. You're so far up. You have to get closer to the ground.
Oh shit! Wait, he died. No, poor daddy. Wait, what? Wait, just beside and went off. What the freak?
Now, because of this recent tragedy,
Mother.
Cass decided to stay home from Saps' meeting. That said, every other major leader was now on their way.
Uh-oh.
As the leaders
Okay.
and representatives arrived,
Wait, why is
there
that
was
ominous
one
music?
person
Why?
who would be notably absent, banned from attending the meeting.
Oh wait, Flux.
Before the meeting started, Flux called me to his underground bunker because he had something, quote,
Wait, why?
important to tell me.
Uh-oh.
Flux, what are you gonna do?
Well, first, let me just explain. I'm not allowed to attend this meeting because the leaders of this island are utterly incompetent. They can see that Island 1 is gearing up to invade us. And their response is, let's give Island 1 more
Yeah,
gear."
he's right.
It's completely brainless, and it's going
He's
to
right.
result in all of our people dying.
So, you got a plan?
I had a plan, but nobody listened. They all voted against it. Look, we can still save this island, but the current leadership has to go.
Yeah, screw Squidward, guys. F Squidward. Screw him.
What do you mean
Kill him.
has to go?
Has to go. Removed.
Wait.
And I'm
Oh.
done waiting.
Wait, is he gonna TNT the place?
Today.
Is he gonna explode the place? Oh shit, it's like a TNT trap, I think. Oh, wait, because Saps left, right? He left to get to help Tricolor just now. So he built like a trap, like a TNT trap. Ooh. Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
Thank you all for coming. We have a lot of very important stuff to talk about.
You know, during the first meeting, there was one person there who actually understood what I
Yeah,
was
Seraphim. How about you?
Seraphim reached out to me, asked me if they could help in any way. I told
Bro,
Seraphim to
Seraphim is a hero, guys. He's a hero. He's the hero.
Jofield.
W.
And today, we will finish the job.
Ooh, okay. Nice. Let's go.
Wait, so Seraphim gets there. What actually happens next?
Something I didn't want to do, but something that needs to be done. I'm going to save this island by any means necessary.
I would like to bring you to the table. If you agree with full chaos on Seraphim, please say aye.
Aye.
No, no I. Nay.
But we have no other choice.
I mean, I kind of agree with Flux here, right? I kind of agree with him.
Is there a possibility, any possibility, that the assassination of Wolfram and the assassination of Jofield by
It's gonna go boom, guys. It's gonna go boom.
Anyway connected?
It's gonna explode.
Is there a conspiracy going on right now? Do we think that's a thing? Are leaders safe?
Uh-oh. They're still gonna die.
Do you feel any guilt doing all this?
Wait, what?
Well, part of me feels bad for Saps.
Oh, Saps doesn't know.
Also don't think the leaders are safe.
What do you mean you feel bad for Saps?
He has no idea.
Oh, that's so
what's
sad.
about to happen to him.
Wait, he doesn't know.
But if you had to betray one person to save 1,000, would you?
I mean, oh Oh, wait, some of them survived. Wait, why? Wait, you only killed some. Wait, what about the rest? Bro, it didn't work. Bro, you only killed like 3 or 4. Sad. He didn't finish the job. It didn't work. The trap didn't work. I think Skewer, wait, did Skewer die? He did, right?
It was a new day.
I think it did.
And Island 2 was in shock. On day 4, when Saps was in Tricolor helping the people after the death of Jofield, Flux and his crew had built a trap in his roof. And Saps did not know they had done this. He had been framed by his friend Flux.
Yo, Flux is so smart. That's a 200 IQ move.
Plan.
It's a big brain.
But because they had to rush to build the trap, it actually wasn't fully successful. Some of the
Oh, I
dripstone,
see.
including the one meant for 3 Below Zero, had failed.
Oh no,
but
Squidward.
overall, the
Squidward
trap
survived.
still killed
Damn.
The leader of Aperion,
Damn it,
Alkaline
he
Alp,
survived.
the leader of the Commonwealth, Coraline, and 4 other very high-ranking
Kill
officials
Squidward.
from across the island.
Squidward should die.
The
Let's
people
kill
of Island
Squidward, guys.
2 were devastated, confused, and angry.
Our leader's dead.
What just happened? After the trap went off, Seraphim was immediately caught and killed.
No, Seraphim, no,
More people
no.
found out about how
Oh,
exactly
man.
their leaders died. Their anger
No,
wasn't
Seraphim.
really towards
Our
Seraphim,
hero.
but toward the person they believed was behind it all.
Not Seraphim.
Saps. And it made sense. Saps knew he'd be hosting leaders at his home. It was his roof that had a secret trap. A trap that happened to fit perfectly into the design of the roof. Saps was
Yeah.
about as guilty as it was possible to be. With that, all the major Island 2 nations, from the Commonwealth to the Cast Coalition to Tricolor to Luminara, declared Saps to be hunted down and killed, while Flux got away with it all.
Wait, hold on. Oh, wait, aura farming. Look at that. Oh my god. Aura farming. Okay, I mean, to be honest, right? To be honest, I kind of feel bad for Saps, right? I kind of feel bad for him, but it has to be done to save everyone. Like, I think I would do the same, to be honest. Like, if I'm able to kill one person to save like 1,000 people, I would. You know the old like railroad question? Like, if there's one rail with one person and one rail with 10 people, who will you queue? Who will you divert the train to? The rail with one person or the rail with 10 people? Which one will you choose? It's the same question, right? Obviously you choose the one person one. It's a lesser evil. Yeah. Legally you should do none, just run away. But what if you had to choose? What if? It makes sense to choose the one with one person. With one person. The rail with one person. It makes sense. That won't be interesting. It is interesting, right? Like, I don't know.
To save thousands. Would you?
I mean, I see Flux logic here. I agree with him.
It was announced that tomorrow, on day 7, the border between the two
Oh shit! The next day?
fall.
We just right after like an assassination of like 10 people. Then the border drops. Oh shit! It's gonna go crazy, bro. It's gonna be chaotic. They're gonna be chaos.
Islands now have 1 day to prepare.
Will you save Elon Musk or 5 plebeians? Okay. Here's my answer. I would choose 5 plebeians. Yeah. Because, I mean, for me, right, human life is equal. It doesn't matter if it's a doctor, it's a president, it's the king of like some country. I don't care. As long as the other side is more people, I'll kill the one person one. Right, I'll kill the one person. Elon Musk, president, I don't care. Yeah. That's my rationale. That's my argument.
Now, when the people of Island 1 saw the chaos happening on the other island, most just didn't really care about it. A lot of the hatred against Island 2 that was popular in the early days had faded away. That is, except for
I mean,
this
not
player
really
named
though. Not really though. I don't think so.
Oppenheimer, who was determined to take out Barbie Land because in 2023
Wait, Oppenheimer?
the Barbie movie had outsold the Oppenheimer movie.
I'm building a
Wait, what?
nuclear rocket that will make yesterday's
Wait,
chaos look like
a nuke?
child's play.
But when Oppenheimer tried testing his nuke, it went
in
up
Minecraft?
and up and up and was never seen again. Now, day 6 did
Oh no,
present some
he's
new
gonna go
challenges
crazy
for some
on
of the
Barbie Land,
civilizations.
guys. Oh no.
For example, at Nevermore, what is this?
Barbie Land is dead. That dead.
I got voted out because.
Oh wait, it's a guy. Oh no.
What about me?
Oh shit. Wait, he killed himself. Ooh.
What? I didn't do anything. I blame Ish.
Wait, I thought he was a king?
I hate
Why?
being
Why'd he
a
die?
leader. Everyone here is so stubborn.
Benji was having trouble getting laws passed because his people kept opposing any changes that threatened their peaceful lifestyle. The people of Elysium were generally skeptical of government officials, sometimes even holding trials against them. Although this particular trial did not go to plan.
Guys, somebody stole Gerald.
Wait, who's Gerald?
The mushroom cow,
Oh,
Gerald,
the mushroom-
has been stolen.
No. Oh no. Not Gerald.
There they all go.
No, bring back Gerald.
Meanwhile, at
No,
West
justice for
Town,
Gerald,
there
guys.
was a bit of a
Hashtag.
food problem going on. Not a
Hashtag
shortage,
justice.
A feud. See, Remy the Rat had opened up a new restaurant right across from the Coliseum, but the food was questionable.
Poisoned fatal?
So his customers had instead started buying their food from another player named Dinosurf. That is,
Wait, what?
until...
Oh my god! Oh my
Wait, he died?
What is he? Permanently closed.
Oh wait,
all food
oh
is
Remy
now-
killed him. Oh shit.
Remy, are you behind the murder of Dinosurf?
Yo, Remy is mafia, guys, mafia.
Anyway, on day 6, the West
Horror
Helm
farming.
Coliseum was finally complete.
That squeak lost. Yeah, the squeak, the mouse squeak.
Do I actually have to say legally?
No?
Maybe a little bit of blood will be shed, and that's all I can say.
While Spood was a popular leader who got things done, he had also developed a reputation of being a little unstable. He said outlandish things, he can't stand meetings, and his justice system wasn't by courthouse, but by combat.
Okay, to be honest, right? To be honest, that's really cool. The trial by combat stuff, that's so cool. Not gonna lie. That's sick.
Spood's first attempted assassin, Ramsayer, tried to prevent. It's why he tried to kill Spood, and he wouldn't be the only one.
I like him. I like Spood.
There has been a
But I think he's gonna die,
small but
though.
coordinated secret revolution
I think he's gonna
growing
die.
in West Helm, with aims to
Wait, what?
overthrow and murder Spood. The two leading figures are West Helm citizen Ramsay
The revolution?
and West Helm's head builder, Knight Arcturus.
Wait, hold on a minute. Wait. Spood is becoming Julius Caesar. Oh no. Oh no, he's gonna die. Oh shit. This is bad. Oh no, please don't die.
You know, I helped design his Colosseum, not knowing Spood actually wanted to use it for bloodshed. He's insane.
The first part of their plan was to take out Spood's second in command, a player named Oo.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Second in command down.
Oh, she
but
did.
Ramsay Pi was immediately chased down by West Helm's army.
Oh, rip.
Happen, man.
Rip.
Oh.
GG.
Oh. With Ramsay Pi dead, Knight Arcturus became the sole leader of the revolution. But he also knew it was only a matter of time before Spood finds out about his plans.
I want to make one thing clear. Anybody who is caught plotting against me
Yo,
will be
it-
executed.
it's
in
sick,
the name
like-
of West Helm. Glory to
Bro,
West
the hate behind him. Bro. He has a stick on the hate behind him. Look at that. Glory to West Helm. Glory to West Helm.
Now, before the border drops, the Island 1 leaders all met to discuss what to do about the Netherites in the volcano. Going into the meeting, people were not happy with Infernus and the Linguini
Uh-oh.
Mafia, who were believed to be keeping Netherite to themselves.
Uh-oh.
Please keep all your weapons holstered at all times unless
Yeah, I
you
think Infernus
absolutely
is so
have
deep,
to.
guys.
The meeting
Mario and
began with
Infernus.
West Helm's
Yeah,
representative
dude.
and Spood's newly appointed second in command, Spider.
We asked if you had netherite, and you lied. You said there was no netherite, that you had looked in it, and that you hadn't found any.
Because people were immediately starting to gang up on Infernus, Benji from Elysium tried to keep the peace.
Why is it Infernus' job to report on the netherite? There were people literally going into their territory, mine without authorization, and then accuse them of doing something wrong.
After some more discussion,
I mean, I guess he's
Infernus was
right.
asked the
I guess
big
he's kind of
question.
right.
Will you open up rights to mining underneath the volcano?
It is still our land. It is still the place where we live. And of course, things like trade are important, but in terms of opening up the volcano,
Nah,
it is
they're
an
just being
adamant no.
selfish.
Ooh.
They're just being selfish.
Oh, wow. Now, Lingolini,
Wait, it's a Mario time.
ally, was about to
Wait,
speak,
what?
but what he ended up saying
It's a
was
Mario time.
unexpected.
Mario
I
time.
humbly disagree with Infernus of not allowing anyone else to mine in the volcano. This
Wait,
is
what?
Island 1. We're all struggling against the nature and everything like that. Shouldn't we all be allowed to mine wherever we please?
Ooh. Yo, Mario is a Giga Chat.
Soon, people people started offering deals
W
to
Mario,
Infernus.
I
W.
believe we'd be open to give you resources since it is your land.
But Seneca still said no.
The volcano is still our sacred land. We don't want hundreds of people there mining and ravaging it.
As a result, Lingolini went even further.
On the day one, Mario was here first on the volcano. And
Yeah,
we were able to mine there, but
technically, it belongs to Mario, right? Because he was first, like at the volcano. He was first. Technically, it belongs to him. So he's right. It belongs to him.
it's not fair that no one else can mine. While your queen is over there with the diamond boots, some people don't even have any armor.
Oh shit! Ooh.
Eventually,
Yo, that's
people
a
started
fire.
using scare tactics.
It's spitting
That
fire.
volcano is insanely active right now. It will most likely erupt within the next 2 days.
I doubt it. I doubt
No,
it.
that's Sidefall propaganda.
That's propaganda.
And so, after even more discussion,
Sidefall propaganda.
Westell made a final plea.
We have a representative from every single nation on this island. You have an opportunity here to unite us all, or you have an opportunity to totally destroy that unitedness.
But Seneca still wouldn't budge.
For now, it's a no.
So, Lingolini made a big
Oh, they're doubling
announcement.
down, huh?
Mario has a large chunk of territory in the volcano. The Linguini family declares independence from Infernus.
Oh shit, he's betraying her.
And we will open mining
He's
to
betraying her.
anybody who wants to mine.
Oh shit.
Seneca's leaving?
Oh, she's mad. She's mad.
Seneca
She's so
had
mad.
left the meeting,
She's so
furious
mad.
at Lingolini's betrayal.
Oh's mad.
I wish we had a better outcome, but this meeting's adjourned.
Oh yeah, what happened to Sebs? Oh, Sebs.
Saps, what just happened?
Dude, what just happened? Every leader in
Yeah, I feel so bad for
You had
him.
nothing to do with it.
I feel so bad.
Someone was in the roof. I'm getting framed-ish.
Following yesterday's
Like-
trap,
the thing is,
Saps
I-
was
I-
on the run, as he was now
I
the
agree
most
with
wanted
Flux.
and notorious criminal on
But I feel bad
Island
for
2.
Sebs now. No, I feel bad for him.
What am I supposed to do?
He had no choice but to hide amongst the dense jungles and swamps of the southern island. But he also knew that the longer he hid, the more guilty he looked. So earlier, he had decided that he would turn himself in under the condition that he is given a fair trial.
Oh, fair trial. Okay.
Flux, meanwhile, was satisfied with the success of his plan, but it wasn't over quite yet.
We got 2 leaders left to kill. Call me Cass, and of course the guy who.
Oh, Squidward.
And because Seraphim
Wait, is
was
he gonna
dead,
die?
Flux sent another member of his crew to take care of the job.
Ooh.
Oh no. Oh no.
Let's go! Screw is dead. Let's go. Screw him.
To the world, this looked like yet another
W Flux,
senseless
W.
assassination. But to Flux, it was the strategic progression toward making the people of Island 2 paranoid. So paranoid that they wouldn't trust anybody, and especially not Island 1. In fact, the new leadership of Tricolor was already preparing for
See,
Island
it
1
worked.
to
It worked.
invade.
I think we should secure our nation.
It worked.
Make sure we have plans when inevitable war and fighting starts.
Yeah, you made them paranoid, right? So they're not gonna trust Island 1 anymore.
And the construction of the
They're more
Luminara
defensive.
Bridge had come to a stop. After all these days, Flux's plan was finally working.
Good job,
The
Flux.
Cass
Good job.
Coalition, meanwhile, hosted a
job.
diplomatic meeting on day 6 to try and increase the morale of Island 2 before the border drops. Although Cass herself was too scared to attend the meeting.
And I am, like, I want
Coward.
to enter, but my members
What
are
a
telling me
coward.
not to because there was an attempt on my life yesterday.
Pussy.
Right. Because Cass was one of the last remaining major leaders on Island 2, she now had guards with her at all
I mean, I
times.
guess she's right.
I'll trade you armor.
Why?
She's right to be
Make
paranoid.
sure you guys do not die. Please don't die.
That said, everyone would soon be tuning into the trial of Saporada to find out whether Saps will be freed or executed.
He's gonna die.
Several
Seb's gonna
legends
die.
argue over who would get to host the trial, but the Commonwealth ended up winning.
Common
We've
L.
made this beautiful venue to show the world that the Commonwealth is still the strongest.
But first,
Wait, what? Another song? Wait, they have like 2 songs now. Holy shit. Oh, the warden. I forgot about that. Forgot about the warden.
Warden up? No.
No.
No, they're not.
Wait, he's bringing it up?
They're bringing it to the...
Wait, hold on, wait. There was a name tag, right? You have the name. There was a name. Wait, what? Wait. Wait. Rising lava. Wait. Rising lava. You're just smart. That's big brain. No, because Sidefall was the one who saying that the volcano is gonna erupt, right? Because spreading that propaganda on Discord, saying that the volcano is gonna erupt. So if he gets killed by the warden, which is named Rising Lava, it shows up in chat. It shows up in game chat. So people are gonna think that the volcano is gonna erupt. It's erupting. Bro, that's big brain. Damn, Side 4. And the fact that he died. He's willing to die for this. I salute him. I salute him. Fun fact, the staff didn't expect people to find the warden, but Side 4 did and actually made the staff happy of what he did. No, it's so sad. Like, I feel like they're so evil towards the Island 1. They're so evil. They added boiling water. They have no trees. They have like a whole layer of lava. And they have a warden. And they have no like diamonds. Like, shit. It would suck to live on Island 1, to be honest. It would suck dick. Massive dick.
Wait, they made it rising lava? So remember that discovery that Sidefall made? Well, it was a warden, also known as the most dangerous creature in all of Minecraft. Sidefall had then renamed the warden to Rising Lava.
Yeah, that's so smart, right?
Accidentally killed by it,
That's insanely smart. That's brilliant.
Panic. The lava is not rising, but this is just as
Oh
dangerous.
shit, oh no. Uh-oh. I'm in danger. No, I really like the screams. The terrified screams. Holy shit. It really sounds like they're getting attacked in real life. Really. The amount of roleplay, they sound terrified. They sound so scared. The screams, bro. The screams.
Place to place, terrorizing civilizations.
Uh-oh. Ooh. Ooh.
Oh my god.
How many people died?
How is anyone gonna stop this? Until eventually it cut to West Helm.
Oh no, not West Helm. No, Spoot. No, Spoot.
But the West Helm army
No,
was
Spoot.
ready.
Don't die, Spoot. Don't die.
Ready? Aim!
Oh, bro, this awesome. Yo, the guitar riff and yo, that's a Lord of the Rings shit, man.
Come on. Oh my gosh.
Ooh. Ooh, two at once. Double Q. Crap.
Welcome to West Helm.
Wait, what? Oh, it got stuck, it got stuck. Q it, Q it, Q it. Q it. Let's go. Yes. Lloyd to West Helm. Wait, why's Remy red at the top? Why? He hit on top.
The defendant Saporada is accused of 7 counts of murder, including the murder of Joe Field, the murder
Yeah, screw
of
Joe
Alpha
Field, man.
Lionel,
Screw him.
and the murder of our very own Coraline. I will hear the prosecution's argument, followed by the defense, and then I shall make my ruling.
Okay, guys, I feel really unsafe now.
Okay. You're the mad. Yeah, mad.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, Saps constructed a meeting hall which contained the deadly trap, pointed at everybody but himself. As a prelude for the meeting, he had his accomplice, Seraphim, assassinate his leader before running to the trigger, ready to pull the trap. He then fled the scene after the trap went off, just long enough after faking his surprise. He is not only a cold-blooded murderer, but a terrorist.
The prosecution then called a survivor of the trap, Zekor, to the stand.
We know after investigating that only one seat had no trap. Can you identify who was sitting in that seat?
It was Saprada.
Dude, his voice.
Who built the meeting hall with that seat?
His voice.
It was Saps. You killed our leaders. You destroyed our island.
Shit.
May your death today satisfy us all.
Oh no.
Then it was time for the defense, for Saps to give the most important speech of his life.
All I ever wanted for this island was peace and cooperation between the nations.
It's really sad. It's really sad that, like, it was Saps that had to be betrayed, right? Like, I feel like it would be better if it was someone else, anyone else other than Saps, because they were friends. It's so sad, right? Like, it would have been better if it was someone else other than Saps. But I guess it doesn't work because Saps is the only one who is like neutral, right? It will only work if it was Saps. So yeah. I mean, I still agree with Flux that he had to do it. It was still like the right thing to do. But I'm just kind of sad that it was Saps that had to be like betrayed, right? It was sad. Yeah, I wish it was someone else.
Us at the meeting yesterday was extremely devastating and came out of nowhere. But I can tell you right now, I'm innocent. It wasn't me. The leadership in Luminara helped me build the meeting area.
Oh, wait, he found out.
And we're the only people who knew about the area before the leadership meeting. That includes
Oh no,
the
no, Flux,
prosecution
no.
himself, Thomas 5200.
Wait, what?
Five rotation, Snowbird 334, and their ringleader, Fluxion.
No, that was him. Shit, he's getting exposed.
When I left to gather the leaders for the meeting, they must have snuck into the roof of the meeting to make
No,
the trap.
Flux.
The people who I thought
No, shut up, Saps.
could
Shut
trust
up,
the
shut up.
most used me for their malicious intent and killed the leaders and blamed it on me.
Saps had figured out he was betrayed
No, Saps,
and
no.
framed by his friend Flux, but he would end
No.
up making a critical mistake.
I find it rather interesting that Three Below, the leader of Luminara, is one of the only people who survived the trap.
Wait, what?
I find that rather interesting.
What about it?
Oh, he's wrong, he's wrong.
Saps falsely
Oh,
assumed that
he's getting
3 Below
screwed.
Zero, the beloved leader
Oh, no.
of Luminara, was also behind the murders. And with that
Oh,
mistake,
wait, so
Saps
he thought that Squidward was part of the assassination? Oh. That's a bad move. That's a bad move. But think about this that way, cause if anyone else was framed, then it will get involved with like the nations know. Yeah, you're right, Shaf, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Because Flux's motive is to have like peace, right? To unite Island 2 and to stop it. But if it was one nation who did it, if they thought that one nation was the one behind the assassination, then there would be civil war. And that will go against Flux ideals. His purpose. Yeah. You're right, Shaf, you're right. Minecraft world politics before GTA 6.
turned everyone against
Oh my
him.
goodness.
Saps, is that all you have to say?
I guess.
All right, I'm ready to make my decision.
Please.
I, Judge Timebomb, find Saparata guilty on all counts.
Yes.
Saps
Yes.
is to be taken to the top
Screw you,
of the
Saps.
gauntlet and executed.
Flux W, guys. Flux W. Let's go. Is he gonna die now? Ooh, he did now, he did. Sep is dead. He's so dead. Kill him, kill him. Why are you not killing him now? No, no, he's running away. Shit. No, get him, get him. Get him. Get Seps. Kill him. Bro, you have like 100 people. Wait, common L, guys, common L. Bro, you have like 100 people and you have one guy. What were they thinking? Bro, common L, man. Actually, common L. They had 100 people. They had like 150 people. But it's one guy.
He escaped, man. Did he actually get away?
That's so dumb.
No!
That's so useless. The common L is so useless, man. Fun fact, when Seps was escaping from his shroud, other players were chasing him for 45 minutes. Ooh. Oh wait, that makes sense though. That makes sense. Because, yeah, I guess they can't edit to the video, right? Because it's too long. It'll make it too long. And it would be boring, right? Yeah, Manching, you're right. I see. Imagine if those who were criminals were sent into Colosseum at night with unlit torches and all spawn points in the chunk lit except for the Colosseum. Oh shit, that's evil. Damn. No, bro, but I think it's hardcore, right, Substy? It's hardcore. Like, you can't respawn. Yeah, so it doesn't work. Wait, I think if it was like one of the Commonwealth leaders, no? Wait, what? Oh, you mean the Hitler skin? Oh shit. Actual common L now. Oh my god. They have a literal Nazi in their nation. What the freak? Also, remember Ruby, everyone has the same speed. So you have to cut someone off to gain on them. But you can just shoot arrows, right? Just shoot arrows. Just shoot them from a distance. It's not that hard, right? Wait, do they have arrows? They have, right? Sorry. Get the Yankee haircut? No. No, bro. That looks disgusting. No. I'm not gonna take that.
You killed our leaders. You destroyed our island.
Look at his face. Oh my god. His face. It's such a dumb face. His skin. Guys, this is actual cinema, guys. Bruh, I didn't expect to get this engrossed in a Minecraft video. Really. I'll actually say, right, bro, we're only halfway through the movie video. What the frick? We're just halfway through. What the frick, man? Oh my goodness. It's so good. Bro, like, I can already say, at this point, halfway through the video, it's way better than the Minecraft movie. It's like 10 times better. Wait, hold on. Choto mate. Oh shit. We look at numbers. Island 1 has 370 people. Wait, they have like 70 less than Island 2. Damn. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference. Wait, what's happening here? What's going on?
Shouldn't it be dropping soon?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, the border. Ooh.
It was day 7, which means the border had officially
Oh no.
dropped. At first,
Oh
people
no.
were kind of in awe. Whoa. This is beautiful. Going from one island to another after all this time was a major culture shock.
Is this Island 1? Whoa.
And as expected, Island 1 people immediately started taking resources from Island 2.
Oh no. They're gonna fight.
But the flow of resources wasn't all in one direction.
We're probably gonna take some gravel back to Island 2. We don't have a lot of it.
Still,
Oh, wait, did they have gravel? Wait, oh, that makes sense now. That means they're coming arrows, right? Because they don't have gravel. Oh. Oh, I see now, I see. That makes sense. Because I was thinking, why didn't they use arrows to kill saps? But it makes sense because they don't have gravel in Island 2. So they can't make arrows. That actually makes sense.
The two islands started meeting for the first time. They were surprisingly friendly to each other, like these two who made a tunnel connecting the islands from underground.
This is amazing.
Oh, so cute. Oh, kawaii.
Island 1 and Island 2.
Kawaii.
For the longest time, Island 2 feared an invasion by Island 1. But on day 7,
Wait,
that
what?
fear completely disappeared.
Yeah, see, Flux plan worked.
It became very clear
It
that
worked.
Island 1 had no interest in war. Instead, they were just happy that they could finally enjoy Island 2 for themselves.
W Flux. Water isn't boiling.
That said, at the beginning
He's
of
also
day
happy.
7, Lingolini made a big decision.
Wait, what? Mario?
He had decided to move out of the volcano and relocate his entire mafia to Island 2.
Island 1.
After yesterday's netherite meeting, which got a little heated, Lingolini had legitimate fears that Infernus might seek revenge against him. So, hoping to live a
Oh,
more
I
peaceful
see.
life, Lingolini went far away
So he just ran
and
away.
settled in the Cass Coalition.
Oh, interesting.
So you're the leader of a mafia, I've heard?
Yes, we are, but we might do some rebranding over here.
Are you guys like violent?
We're
Rebranding.
not violent much, but we have done some political talk that has not been taken well, which is the reason why we're here.
Sensing potential danger, Cass decided it was best for Lingolini to set up his home
Well, okay, at least,
outside
guys, at least he survived. Okay, at least he survived. W Mario, W. You know what is funny, Ruby? They never consider giving Island 2 land on Island 1? Wait.
Cass Coalition. That said, the Cass Coalition was now bigger than ever before. On day 7, Cass hosted a funeral for the deceased Wood Daddy, and over 100 people across
Oh, Wood Daddy,
both
the guy who
islands
fell.
showed up.
We are gathered here today in the cherished memory of Wood Daddy, a beacon of kindness in our community.
Wait, hold on a minute. Wait, I saw something. Wait, they have a Wood Mommy as well. Wait, there's a Wood Daddy and there's a Wood Mommy.
Beacon of kindness in our community.
Look at that.
While Cass's influence grew, the Commonwealth was in shambles. Saps' trial
Oh, Common
yesterday
L.
was a disaster
Common
for
L,
the Commonwealth.
L.
Island 2 had entrusted the Commonwealth to run the trial of Saps. So when Saps escaped his execution, people lost all faith in the Commonwealth, which at one point was the most powerful civilization in the world. On day 7, most of the Commonwealth leaders resigned, leaving just one player, Sitzkrieg, as the sole ruler of the Commonwealth.
We're actively searching for saps right now. We will restore honor to the Commonwealth.
Nah.
One of Sitzkrieg's biggest goals was to
Common
find
L.
and kill saps, but his other big goal was to regrow the Commonwealth's population, which by this point had shrunk by a lot. So he sent out a lot of public invites, especially to the people of Island 1, and it actually did work until one of the people who
wait.
moved in was Night Arc
Wait,
Turris,
it's the guy who
lead
killed,
builder
tried to
of
kill Spood.
Westhelm, who had to flee from Westhelm because Spood had found out about his secret plans for revolution.
He's like a asylum seeker.
The Commonwealth is letting us hide out.
Literally.
As long as Spood doesn't find us, we should be okay.
He's seeking an asylum.
The world's biggest fugitive, Saps was back to hiding in the jungle after miraculously escaping from his trial, although his spirits were quickly fading.
Everyone thinks I'm a murderer. I just don't know what to do anymore.
Aww.
Saps
I feel
knew
bad
that
for him.
Sitzberg and the Commonwealth soon planned to scout the entire southern islands to hunt him down. So on day 7, Saps decided that his best bet was to leave his home island and flee to Island 1.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
But it wouldn't be so
That's a
easy.
good idea. Wait, what?
Because
Huh?
the border had just dropped, people were constantly going back and forth between the two islands, which means traveling by sea could be dangerous. So
Oh,
Saps
underground?
decided on another method of travel.
Underground?
He went to the place where he was least expected.
Wait. Luminara? The bridge?
He's trying to use the bridge.
Oh, he's wait. Why?
No way. No way.
Oh wait, isn't that Hyrule rotation? That's the guy with Flux, right?
Island 1.
Let's go, Flux.
Now,
Saps.
instead of chasing Saps,
He
the
survived.
Luminara builders instead retreated to inform everyone else that Saps was on his way to Island 1. Saps, meanwhile, quickly sailed the rest of the way to the other island, although what happened next was unexpected.
Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy.
Who's that?
Oh. You scared the crap out of me. Am I
Wait,
allowed to touch
what?
this water? Yeah, right.
Wait, is that from Island 1? He's a guy from Island 1, right?
Outside of the island, it's safe.
It turns out earlier, Saps had reached out to a bunch of people on Island 1, offering them 2 stacks of diamonds if they give him a safe place to hide. And out of all
Oh.
people to accept his offer, it was Turntap, the leader
Oh,
of
it's
the
the Covenant.
the most feared and militaristic civilization on Island 1.
How was the trip?
I ran across the giant bridge that Luminara is building, and like all of Luminara was there.
When Saps and Turntap finally arrived at the Covenant,
Okay,
Turntap
he's
immediately
kind of brave though,
distributed
right? You gotta
Saps'
admit
diamonds
that.
to the Covenant army. But then,
He's so brave.
in a surprising move, he sent them out on a secret
Wait, what?
mission.
Wait, secret mission?
Turntap had sent the Covenant hit squad to Island 2, but not to accomplish a goal for the Covenant per se, but
Honey?
actually upon the request of Infernus.
Oh shit. Infernus?
He betrayed us.
No, not Mario.
He ruined
No.
our sacred land.
Don't you dare kill Mario. Please
Yesterday,
don't.
Lingolini had opened up the volcano
I love him.
for netherite mining.
I love
As
Mario.
Such, people from all across Island 1 had started mining in the volcano. And even though Lingolini had now moved out of the volcano, Sinica felt that since people were already mining, she had no choice but to let them
Oh
stay.
shit.
She was not happy about what Lingolini had done, and Sinica wanted revenge.
Oh shit, guys.
Oh! They're killing the
No,
entire
not Mario.
mafia.
Please don't.
Oh my god. Now, the reason the Covenant
Shit.
was willing to do Sinica's bidding wasn't just because she let them mine for netherite before anyone else.
Wait, did he get away? Please get away, please, Mario. Please, run away, run away. Run.
The Covenant didn't appreciate how Lingolini so publicly betrayed Infernus. They found him.
Hey, you ever thought about diplomacy?
We could have had Island 1 at peace. And world
Diplomacy?
peace, and we still can, really.
Oh, here they go.
But over my grave, he will not be a part
Bro,
of
she's
it.
evil. Sinica's evil.
They've got him. They've got him.
She's an evil queen. No, even when he's dying, he's still role playing. What the frick? Bro, insane. 07, 07. Respect. Respect, bro, respect. That place called Saps is a very, very good PvP player. Yeah, I guess so, because he ran away from Common L, right? He got away from Common L. Yeah, he seems like a very good parkour player. Not gonna lie, because he did like that wall thing with the bushes. Yeah. You're right. He kept that character for 2 years. Oh no, Mario. No, Mamma
The
Mia.
Covenant
Why?
had massacred the Langolini Mafia.
I'm actually sad.
Before anyone could retaliate, the Blue Cross announced they would schedule a hearing, calling on the Covenant to explain what they had done.
Oh, okay, why though? Wait, hold on a minute, wait, Chutamate. So, Infernus told Covenant to kill Mario. I see. Because I was thinking why Covenant killed Mario, and I'm like, I'm stupid, I'm just dumb. Okay, literally said it just now in the video, I just forgot. Yeah. I was like, why did Covenant kill Mario, huh? I like RPing when I play games. Yeah, me too. Slain? Man, that Mario guy was probably the most funny guy who sadly passed. Yeah, I think he's like, he made the content, the video, like 10 times funnier. It's so sad. Like what am I gonna do now? He died halfway through. He's not gonna hear anymore. The other half, there's no Mario. He's gone. How am I gonna finish this video, guys? How? Without Mario. Sad. Grandpa memory disorder. Don't worry, I did suffer from that as too. Yeah. Governor accepted the hit on Mario cause he also betrayed Sneaker publicly. Oh, I see. Huh. Oh, Flux.
Howdy,
Flux.
Oh, you got some
Flux.
fancy armor now.
Yeah.
Wait,
from
wait.
Island 1.
Wait, really?
Wait, what?
Earlier today, Flux and his crew had gotten their hands on a super rare armor trim by trading with the Covenant, who had picked up the armor trim from the Warden when it died.
It's a Warden drop. Oh.
Now, of course,
I see.
Flux
I didn't know
had
that.
no idea that the Covenant was also trading with and
Oh, it's from the
armoring
Warden.
his arch nemesis, Saps. But he did know one thing.
I heard Saps ran to Island 1, so we put out a massive bounty on his head.
Flux was now
Ooh.
determined to have Saps killed, because Saps was the only other person in the world who knew that Flux was behind the murders of all the Island 2 leaders.
Okay, that makes
Basically,
sense.
if
That
Saps
makes
dies,
sense.
Flux gets away with everything. And ideally, the sooner Saps dies, the better.
Wait,
because
hold
of
on, wait,
incidents
wait, that Squidward's hit? Hold on.
Flux gets away with everything. And ideally, the sooner
Wait, it's Squidward's hit on the table. He put it on the hit. Damn, that's sick. That's sick.
Saps dies, the better, because of incidents like yesterday.
That
To
includes the
take revenge
prosecution
against
himself
him.
and their ringleader,
Because Squidward was the one who demoted him, right? Yeah. So he was mad at Squidward. So he killed him. And placed his head on the table. To send a message. Damn, that's sick. Yeah. Exactly. I didn't pay attention to the story that much. So Flux is the de facto head of that island if the other leaders are gone. No. He's the one who killed like most of the leaders. So that they get paranoid and don't trust Island 1. The poor island. If I get it right. If I'm right. He's not the leader of anyone yet, I think. Yeah. Plus I think Luminara now still has no leader. Because it only happened the day before. The previous day. So I don't think they have a leader yet. Yeah.
Fortunately for Flux, it didn't seem like anyone at the trial believed Saps. If anything, Saps' accusation only made people hate him more.
Wait. Motherfucker's accusing my government. Bro, this guy is mad, man. He's crashing out.
Especially the people of Luminara, who weren't happy that Saps accused some of their fellow citizens. What do you want to do to Saps?
Ooh, they're bloodthirsty.
We hunted him down the other day. We couldn't find him, but we have speculation of where he is.
After the murder of their beloved leader 3 Below Zero, Luminara soon planned to host an election, and the current frontrunner was a player named Legacy.
Me and my parrot, we've just been going around to
cute.
different
Cute
houses,
parrot.
knocking on doors. I think we're gonna win this thing.
For a moment,
Oh, I love
Flux
parrots.
also considered a run for leader, although he had basically already accomplished everything he wanted to do.
Look, no matter what people say, Island 1 was planning to invade us.
Yeah,
They
he's
would've
true.
just
He's
walked
right. He's
in.
right.
But now that we have stronger leaders, more
Yeah, he's
cautious
right.
leaders, they're not gonna do that. We have world
I agree.
peace. And not because of a bridge, but because of me.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
Since the beginning, Flux's philosophy was simple. You can never show kindness to your enemy if your enemy wishes to destroy you. If you build a bridge, they'll use it to invade you. If you offer them aid, they'll use it to kill you. This is why Flux believed it was necessary to eliminate the Island 2 leaders who wished to be kind. But the cost of their deaths was devastating. The people of
Okay, but the thing is, I feel like it was needed though.
Building a massive statue
They needed
to honor
that.
their deceased leader.
We've just been trying to focus on restabilizing.
It's deserved,
our nation.
right?
Obviously, the passing of Joe
It had to be
was
done.
pretty hard.
Meanwhile, the people of Aperion had elected a new leader, but Aperion was never quite the same after the death of Alkaline Elk. The people of the Commonwealth were also in shambles, having a much smaller civilization than they started
Common
with.
L.
And even though there was some peace on Island 2, people didn't feel a sense of calm, but instead a sense of unease and revenge.
Oh wait, it's the guy. It's the guy from the trial.
And they were determined to kill the person who they believed murdered the leaders they loved. Saps knew that it was only a matter of time before someone hunts him down, or someone in the Covenant betrays him to collect
Yeah, what's he
the
gonna do now?
massive bounty on his head.
What's Saps gonna do now? Because
Saps
he-
made a last-ditch effort to
I mean, to be honest, what can you do now, right? Because no one's gonna trust him. Everyone is out to kill him. He has a bounty. Like, what can you do at this point if you're Saps? Seriously. Because, like, to be honest, right, if I was Sep, right, I would just like end myself, to be honest. Like, I'll just stop playing. Legit. There's nothing you can do. Minecraft players are fickle. He might turn it around. I don't know. I don't see any way he can turn it around, to be honest. The entire world is against him. And everyone's out to get him. Bro, remember, he has a bounty. He's wanted.
try and get a strong ally for his cause. He asked Turntap to take him to the largest nation on Island 1.
Oh, West Helm. Glory to West Helm. Spood. Emperor Spood. Wait, so he's going to West Helm to get help?
On their way to the West
To seek
Helm
help?
Capitol building, they ran into a citizen of Aperion from Island
Oh,
2
shit.
who recognized Saps.
Oh shit, someone from Island 2.
Oh,
Ooh.
Is there a problem here?
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. A bow.
Okay. We will walk by.
Shoot him, shoot him.
Good call.
Oh, you coward.
Saps
You
and his
coward.
crew then entered the capital.
Can I speak to the glorious leader of West Helm, please?
Wait, hold on a minute. Wait, there's two Cass. Wait, there's Commie Cass and Cass Berry. Wait, there's two Casses. Wait, hold on a minute. Wait, hold on. What if Cass Berry goes to the Cass Coalition? What happens? Is there gonna be like a fight between the two Casses? A Cass fight for power? Like who's gonna be the true leader of the Cass Coalition? If there are two Casses. Wait. They should, you know what Spook should do? He should send Casberry over to Island 2. Big brain.
Hello. The Covenant leaders brought me. Can we have a meeting?
I'm not gonna lie, Saps. You coming to me asking for a meeting after what happened last time, even if it wasn't to do with you.
Listen, I just want to talk.
What about what?
At least explain, because I'm innocent.
Saps, I'm sorry. No.
Ultimately, Spood rejected Saps' request for a meeting because
Sad.
Spood didn't exactly trust him and had no real reason to help him. So instead, Saps tried another civilization, the Alcaracina Pirates.
Oh, One Piece. Wait, is it the one that the leader died because of the lava? It is, right? The what's his name again? Like the guy who fell into the lava. Because he didn't know. I think it's him, right? It's this one, right? Is this Island 1, right?
Although when he arrived,
Oh yeah, Noble
things
Bucket. Yes, you're
felt
right.
a little off.
Yeah. Bucket.
All your gear.
Well, well, about that.
Dude, that's so sus.
Wherever.
That is. Ooh.
At the end of the day, I don't want any
It's a trap.
guys to get killed for something
Oh.
that I'm being framed for.
Oh shit.
But then, suddenly,
Oh, run.
What? Yeah.
Yo, turn tab.
Turntap had realized that the pirates were
The
planning
chat.
to kill Saps to collect the massive bounty on his head. So he
Yo,
told
he was
Saps
this
to
close to
run.
dying, man. It's this close.
What's going on?
He was so close to being
One sec, you gotta go back to
dead.
Covenant, like, immediately. We probably shouldn't have come
Almost
out.
died.
Now, on their way back to the Covenants, Turntap suddenly started acting suspicious himself.
Huh?
Are we safe? Is everything fine? What's going on?
We need to go back to Covenant right now.
He just kind of sus.
You need to tell me what's going on or I'm not coming with you.
Dude, either, like, you can handle this on your own, or, like, just...
Huh.
Here, I'll explain to you in a sec. Just come on.
Listen, it's hard to trust people right now, so I'm putting a lot of faith into you.
This is so suspicious. As Saps ran, he pondered his choices. Either he puts his life in the hands of Turntap, who may be wanting to kill him and collect the bounty for himself, or he runs away. Now.
Oh, he ran away. Oh. Oh, he's alone again.
It's all alone.
It's all alone.
Saps then climbed the mountains.
Oh,
of
that's
Island
sad.
One,
That's depressing.
escaping from the last remaining person he
Like he has no one.
thought
He has no one
could
to trust other than himself.
He was now all
That's so
alone
depressing.
in a world of people who hated him
Damn, that's so sad.
and wanted him dead. And
Never
so
trust anyone when you have a
he
monkey.
ventured
Yeah,
into
true,
the
true. You're right.
And
Wait, the
started
music
collecting
is so
blocks.
sad. Wait. No.
Saps, what are you doing?
I can't trust
Wait, is he gonna kill himself?
Flux won.
Oh, shit.
He
Oh, shit.
completely won.
He's gonna kill himself.
There's just no point anymore.
Oh no. No, Saps, don't.
On day 7, Saps built a tower in the tundra.
Oh, rip.
A monument
Rip.
for people
07,
to remember
07.
him by.
07.
And he planned to
Salute.
jump off.
Wait, what?
But he didn't.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
If I have to die, I'm gonna make sure he does too.
Oh, okay, okay. So he didn't die, huh? He didn't jump off. Okay. Alright, I guess. Oh, they ate now. Wait, what?
Welcome everyone! Today we have 2 new prisoners who will fight to the death. Rinit, you are charged with the attempted murder of several innocent West Helm farmers. Remy,
Wait,
you
Remy?
are charged with conspiracy to
Why?
murder West Helm food supplier Dinosaur.
Oh, yeah, he tried to kill him, right?
Seth,
He killed him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Wait, hold on a minute. Wait, Remy has iron armor. He's so dead. Remy is screwed.
wait, some guy jumped in.
Wait, what's that guy? He died. Never mind. What the heck, bro? Wait, what? Wait. Wait, what? Wait. How? Wait, how? How? How do you win? He has iron armor. The other dude has like a diamond chest plate. What the freak is going on? That is so... What?
Remy the Rat had won his duel in the Colosseum, and all of his crimes, including the murder of dinosaurs, were expunged from his record by Emperor Spood himself. He was now a legend, and his restaurant became more popular than ever before.
He put his head on the floor.
Wait,
Now,
what?
It's been a busy few days for Emperor Spood. He was always working on different things. Have you seen our aqueducts? Show me your aqueducts, Spood.
Wait, what's that?
behind you! Look at it!
What's the use of this?
I don't
Yo,
really
that's
know.
huge.
What is the point of anything? We just build. We have too many builders, not enough ideas.
Now, while Spood was an effective leader, he did have to constantly watch his back for assassins.
You know, I've thwarted like 5 assassination attempts, and guess what? I've just found out about another.
No way. Spood's entire reign
No way.
began with him almost being killed, so he was always extra careful
5
and sensitive about
assassinations?
where he went and
That's a
who he
lot.
associated with. It's also why Spood was particularly angry when he found out that one of the people who planned to kill him was his own lead builder, Knight Arcturus.
According to some of my sources, Knight Arcturus was seen in the Commonwealth earlier today.
Really? Spood had sent spies across the world to
Oh.
find Knight Arcturus, and when they
Oh,
discovered he was
he
staying
found
in
out,
the
he found out.
Commonwealth, Spood immediately
Oh, shit.
reached out to Sitzkrieg to request he be handed back to Westhelm.
Uh-oh.
However, given that the Commonwealth was low on citizens and needed good builders, Sitzkrieg decided to reject Spood's request.
I'm not just going to give up one of my builders. The
Uh-oh.
Commonwealth does not give in to tyrants.
This made Spood erupt with fury.
Oh, I'm gonna make sure that everybody knows the Commonwealth is corrupt. They stepped that talk.
Bro, Spood's crashing out, man. He's crashing out.
So Spood went around telling everyone about how much he hates
Damn.
the Commonwealth.
Bro's crashing out.
This whole situation became a massive drama, and it actually got to the point where the rest of Island 2 was getting annoyed with the Commonwealth.
I don't get why the Commonwealth doesn't just hand him over. We don't
Yeah.
need a war with Westhelm.
Why not?
Unlike the Commonwealth, Cass had a big population, and she didn't care about losing
Just one
citizens
guy.
who were troublemakers.
Let's just send him.
For example, earlier, one of her
Send him back to
citizens,
Westhelm.
Addison 27, had gone to Tricolor, dug into Jovial's grave,
Oh, no.
and had stolen Jovial's head.
Ooh.
I wear this? Hey, Cass, I brought you a trophy.
But instead of protecting him, Cass immediately banished Addison from the Cass Coalition and alerted Tricolor of his location, causing Addison to flee Island 2.
Oh, I see.
It was this kind of no-nonsense leadership that earned Cass a lot of respect from not only her citizens, but other Island 2 nations who were now much more willing to ally with Cass than with the Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a
The
smart
very
move.
existence of the Cass Coalition also provided a
That's
sense of
genius.
security to smaller groups. Like this new
I mean, it's common
nation
sense,
who are
right?
mostly cheese merchants
That's
and
good for
call themselves
politics.
The Conquistadors.
This is the
Wait, what?
way of cheese, but el
Ew.
queso!
Since the border dropped yesterday, the
Cheese.
economies
A cheese
of
kingdom.
most Island 2 nations were prospering, with heavy amounts of trade and tourism between islands. Meanwhile, in Barbie Land,
Ish. I have news.
what?
I'm marrying Oppenheimer.
Wait, what?
What? On day 8, the player Oppenheimer had marched
What?
into Barbie Land, but instead of destroying it with a nuke, he apparently
Huh?
liked it so much that he proposed to their leader.
What the frick?
Consider this your invitation.
I thought he hated Barbie.
Thank you. In Luminara, meanwhile,
Why?
the citizens were inventing new technologies.
This is the power switch. It's 16.
Bro, guys, I think Oppenheimer got brainwashed. He got brainwashed by Barbie. He got brainwashed, guys.
Is working together simultaneously, and it has a bunch of hopper minecarts on the inside distributing
Oh,
everything.
wait. As much as Luminara was finally starting to live up to its name as the light of Island 2, little did its citizens know among them was quietly living the world's most deadly group of terrorists.
Wait, what do you mean terrorists? What do you mean terrorists? No, they're not.
I'm thinking of running in the election tomorrow.
Oh, yeah?
Legacy's pretty popular, but I'm not worried.
While it seemed like each of the Island 2 nations had their own separate goals, they were all still united under one mission: to find and kill Saps. In fact, by day 8, Luminara had told all of the other nations that Saps had fled to Island 1, and some nations were already preparing to send out hit squads later today. But Island 1, meanwhile, was currently dealing with a whole other political drama: the murder of Lingulini.
I cannot
Wow.
conceive how you're being this civil about this. They came in, they found him in the hole, they drowned him in lava.
This player, Vietnam, was one of the few remaining survivors in the Lingulini Mafia. Vietnam had
Oh, that's
escaped
sad.
the Covenant's attack and
He's the only
wanted
one
to get
left.
revenge against the Covenant, but was finding it
He's the only one
surprisingly
left.
difficult to gather support. See, while the Blue Cross condemned the Covenant, nobody was brave enough to declare war on them. People feared the Covenant and its army, which is why Seneca secretly asked them to do the deed instead of doing it herself. If people knew that she was behind the attack, she would be in big trouble. But
Yeah.
for now, nobody would face any consequences for the massacre of the Lingulini Mafia.
Mushroom Kingdom. Mushroomed Kingdom. With like
Going
with
back to West
ED.
Helm, on day 8,
Past tense.
Emperor Spood was really only thinking about one thing: how to get revenge against Knight Arcturus. After
Yeah,
the
how?
Commonwealth rejected Spood's extradition request, Spood's initial
Wait.
reaction was to begin preparing for war. But
Oh, that
what
makes
made him
sense.
think twice was his belief that the Commonwealth was a massive nation with probably a big army. Spood also knew that declaring war could risk the entire
Oh, yeah, the defense pack.
2 coming to the Commonwealth
Oh, yeah.
and maybe launching a counterattack
Yeah,
on
for defense
West
pack.
So, Spood decided to change strategies. He instead decided to try and bait the Commonwealth. See if he
Wait,
can
what?
make them angry enough to do something rash. Something bad enough that would allow
Wait.
Spood to then declare war
Wait, so he's literally gonna rich bait them. He's rich baiting them. Wow.
and have everyone's support. And Spood knew exactly how to make the Commonwealth angry. He invited back to the West Helm capital the one person he knew the Commonwealth
Oh,
hated the
Seps.
most.
Seps. Okay, I did see that. I did not see that coming.
Seps is back. And Turntap's here too for some reason. This is interesting. Because the Covenant had
He's
brought
back now.
Saps to West Helm yesterday, Spood had specifically asked Turntap to protect Saps and escort him to
Oh, is
West
he called
Helm
rich
once
bait in
again.
Minecraft before GTA 6?
While Saps didn't fully trust Turntap
Yeah.
or Spood for that matter, he knew
Yeah,
that
plot
a
twist,
meeting
yeah,
with
plot
Spood was
twist.
a massive opportunity, and it was worth the risk.
Saps, you are the person that, to my knowledge, murdered all those people on Island 1. Island 2, sorry.
Yo, so Saps was being protected for real? Yeah.
That is behind all
No,
of the
it's insane how he survived until now.
His name is Fluxion.
Right? Insane.
Emperor Spood was having trouble believing Saps, but he went along with it for now.
Well, it seems like we both have gripes with Island 2.
Spood then proceeded to tell Saps and the Covenant about his feud with the Commonwealth, and how he needed Island 1's support in case a war breaks out. There was just one problem. The Blue Cross Alliance was as good as dead. Infernus had
Oh.
basically left the Alliance after the last meeting, and the Covenant had stopped responding to the Blue Cross because of the Lingolini situation. So Spood
Oh.
decided to take things into his own hands and individually call the big 4 nations of Island 1 for a meeting. And he wanted Saps to be there so he could tell the leaders about corruption on Island 2.
Oh, wait, is it now? Is it Island 2 or was it Island 1 now?
Reputation, Seneca and Benji
Oh.
were hesitant. But as long as the meeting was in a wide open area without a roof, they
Island
decided
1
they
versus
would
Island
go.
2. Because of Saps. Yeah, he just thought Turntap was gonna bonk him. Yeah.
To begin the meeting, Spood first had Saps tell his story.
I've been put on trial and sentenced
Can you
to
link me
death
the
for a
vid?
crime I
It's
did
in
not
the
commit.
Spood's
chat, right?
goal with this
It's
meeting
pinned.
was to convince all
It's pinned
the
in the chat.
leaders that Island 2 was a threat to Island 1.
One of my right-hand men was murdered in cold blood by someone in association with the Commonwealth. It's one of the many injustices I've heard about on Island 2, and I want justice.
Oh shit.
Then Turntap of the Covenant made his
Wait, hold
own
on, wait. So, because of this, Island 1 is gonna attack Island 2? Because they're gonna attack the Commonwealth, right? The Common L. So, because of defense pact, the others have to, like, the other nations on Island 2 will need to protect Commonwealth, right? They will need to help Common L. So, that will lead to a hold-out war between the two nations. The two islands, sorry. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, that would suck, right?
A few days ago, Covenant was approached by Luminara.
So hold on. So that means that whatever Flux did, it became the opposite. It turned out to be the opposite. Because Flux was trying to get Island 1 and Island 2 to not fight each other. Or like having Island 2 to like survive. But instead of that happening, because Saps survived, it will lead Island 1 to attack Island 2. Yeah. So it kind of like backfired.
potential trade agreement. Legacy AN approached me in regards to Fluxion, the guy who Saps is claiming killed everyone, which I do believe.
Whoa. Apparently, back when the Covenant traded armor trims with Flux, they had also done the same deal with Legacy. And Legacy had voiced concerns to Turtap about Flux's run for leader, including how Flux was demoted from second in command, and rumors that he's paid
Also,
people
Turtap's know.
diamonds to
He
vote
knows.
for him. This gave Saps and Schmoot's stories a little more credibility, which was
Oh, I see,
crucial
I
for getting
see.
everyone on board with West Helm's
So,
military
wait, so
proposal,
Turtap really
which
wanted to
was,
help him.
If any nation from Island 2 attacks Island 1, then the entirety of Island 1 must strike back.
If all leaders are in agreement to this, please say aye.
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 I. Wait, no, Benji, no.
Is for us a problem.
Benji was
What a
hesitant
cock block.
to join
What a
any
cock
military
block.
alliance because Elysium
Benji,
was the
are you
nation of
serious?
peace, and he knew that his people were opposed to any changes
Are you
that
serious,
threatened their
Benji?
peaceful lifestyle.
Council might not agree.
Do you believe if Saps was at the council meeting, would he potentially have the chance to convince them after telling his story?
I think he might.
As long as Saps agrees, it's up to you.
I mean, yeah.
Saps
Okay, so he's gonna go and.
to Elysium.
I see, I see.
Reunite Island 1.
He's trying to convince them to join the war.
I have been framed for the mass assassination of Island 2 leaders by Fluxion and his conspirator. So many other people have died to the same tyranny and corruption that has been on Island 2. I'm just so lucky to be alive and share my story with you guys.
But as Saps spoke, the people of Elysium
Oh,
still
no.
had some doubts.
Against the corruption in Island 2, which is...
Who?
What is that? What does that mean? That's vague. What does that
Are we
mean?
going to?
corruption?
Listen,
Elysium wasn't convinced that potential corruption on another
Oh.
island was enough of a reason
Oh, yeah,
for
because they love
Elysium
peace,
to
right?
get involved. But
They are
then
peace-loving
suddenly-
people.
A few days ago,
That makes sense. They're hesitant to go to war.
What is this? About 15 members of the
Wait, what?
West Helm army had inexplicably walked right through
What the frick?
Elysium. They quickly left, but it certainly didn't help the tensions.
Why?
Nonetheless, the proceedings continued.
You're being rushed here to pressure us.
We're going to be deciding whether Elysium citizens would go to war. I think Elysium citizens need to have a say in that.
Yeah, true.
After even more deliberation and after
Oh my
even
god, all
more
the
time
politics, man. The
passed,
politics. Oh my goodness.
Excuse me, I have to say something important. The troop of people that came by, they are apparently the military from West Helm. We have reasonable suspicions to believe they are going to launch an invasion of Island 2
Oh
in the
shit.
next like 5 minutes. I do not know.
What?
We've-
Wait, so Elysium is not joining anymore?
grown impatient. After Spider informed him that progress was stalling,
Uh-oh.
Spoon had decided to send a squadron of the West Helm
Oh, no,
army
this is bad. This is so
into
bad.
the Commonwealth's territory to find and arrest Night
Yeah, it's gonna be all out war, guys. Island 1 and Island 2, they're fighting each other now. Because of this. They're so screwed. Death to Common L. Death to Common L. Die. Die. Hello, Sonny. Hello. Hello. We are watching a Minecraft video.
We are here peacefully. We're simply looking
Yeah,
for a
today.
man by the name
It's alright,
of
it's alright.
_Arcturus.
Alright. We don't have him.
We do not
He's
know where he's
lying.
at.
He's
We have not
lying.
seen
You
him,
liar.
nor
You
we-
liar.
We
You
don't
had
have
him.
Where are they going?
Liar.
With their first plan failing, West Helm went to plan B.
Shield wall, shield wall.
What the?
Wait, what? Chihuahua?
They're forming a shield wall outside.
Everyone leave. We're getting out of here.
Yeah.
Literally aura farming,
Everyone
guys.
Bail, bail.
The West
Oh,
Helm
cowards.
squadron had successfully intimidated
Commonwealth
the
more like Common
Commonwealth
L.
leadership into fleeing their own nation. West Helm then went around searching every house, every mine, every crevice of the Commonwealth. But ultimately, Knight Arcturus was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, this guy is so slippery. Oh my god. Like Arcturus. Damn. Bro, he's so good at hide and seek, man.
Meanwhile,
He's such a good
at the
hider.
Cast Coalition.
He's been hiding for like how many days now? 3 days? 2 days? Crazy.
Hey, can I run something by you real quick?
Yeah.
You know
Huh?
how everyone's trying to kill Saps because of what he did? And then during his trial, he was all like, Luminara was behind this. Luminara built the trap.
The leadership
Oh,
in
no.
Luminara
Wait.
helped me build the meeting
Wait, is
area.
Floss gonna get
That
exposed?
includes the prosecution himself,
No, right?
Thomas 5200, and their ringleader, Fluxion.
So, I was sailing past Saps' place a few days ago.
Oh shit.
Is digging. Or what? Oh.
You see that? You see that guy?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Oh no.
Flux?
No, Flux, no.
Yeah, kind of looks like him. Yeah.
What's he doing at Saps' place? And why is he gathering blocks?
Buggy the clown, bro. You exposed Flux. God damn it.
What do you think?
God damn it.
Interesting.
No. You ruined Flux plans.
You know what? Go show this to Tricolor. And probably also Perion.
Got in 360p. It is bad? Yeah, it's bad, right? God, they're gonna suspicious, like, they're gonna sus, Flux now.
Gas Coalition had been reviewing his old video footage when he happened to notice Flux digging for sand, a prevalent material in Saps' roof.
Oh shit.
On its own, this wasn't the best evidence. But for some people,
Yeah.
it did raise some questions.
I would too, right? I would too. If I were them. It's kind of sus. Damn. D9. Oh, it's a tower that he built in the snow.
Yesterday,
In the mountain.
Saps had spent the day getting brought into meetings with the most important people on Island 1, and he didn't really know what to make of this. In one sense, he was incredibly lucky to finally have some support. But he also questioned how real this support is, and who he can really trust.
Yeah, that's true.
See, Saps knew that the Covenant generally did not like the people of Island 2. The Covenant believed that Island 1 was the supreme island with better culture, customs, and traditions. They were also known to be ruthless, having massacred the entire Lingolini Mafia. It's why Saps was suspicious of Turntap's offer to continue protecting him, especially after he ran away. But
No, I think Turntap is helping him.
he needed powerful
He will also help
allies
him.
as world tensions.
No, because just now, Turntap said that he traded with Luminara, right?
When Spoon invaded the Commonwealth yesterday, he got
So-
a lot of criticism, mostly from his own neighbors, who were blindsided by the move.
Spoon could have dragged all my people into war. Elysium is a nation of peace.
Like that, any hope for a Big Four alliance was basically dead, especially since the other nations were now dealing with problems of their own.
Oh, Infernus.
Earlier yesterday, Queen Sinica had found out that Elysium's newspaper Daybreak Media had somehow found out that she had
What?
directed the Covenant to kill Lingolini.
Oh, she got exposed. Oh no, she got exposed.
Why Sinica was so quiet yesterday during the Island 1 snow meeting. She knew this story would be coming out, and she was trying to figure out how she would respond. And on day 9, she made her decision. To dissuade people from invading Infernus, she would
Wait, she
show
got exposed
strength
and-
by doubling down and hold
Wait,
a
what?
joint ceremony with the Covenant, parading around
No.
Lingolini's head.
No, the audacity. The audacity. The audacity. How could you? You son of a gun. How could you, bruh?
Let this be a lesson. Shame to those who disrespect our volcano.
No, don't throw it with lava. Please don't. No! Mario! Mario! No!
Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, the
It's
Blue
already
Cross
dead. They had
was
to-
hosting a meeting.
It doesn't disgrace him like that, right? So he did.
Burn the head of Mario.
If I can't get his head back, then it's war. I will put my hands around each and every one.
The leaders and representatives then decided that Infernus needed to
Crash
be
shot.
punished, and they started discussing whether or not to declare war. But then, not even a minute into the discussion,
If everyone is against them,
Wait, what? Wait, Benji died?
Benji's dead.
Wait, he fell.
What?
Wait.
Benji, the leader of Elysium, had suddenly
Oh shit.
died.
Why?
And before anyone could even ask about what happened, a member of Daybreak Media made a shocking revelation.
We know that Benji had been one of the people who made the call to kill Lingolini.
No.
What? Apparently, Benji had admitted
Wait.
to Daybreak Media that he,
Wait, I thought he's from the peace-loving nation. He's from Elysium, right? That makes no sense. That's against Elysium's ideals, right? That's the whole idea of Elysium, to be peaceful. And he ordered an assassination against Mario. That's the opposite of peaceful. That's violent. He's a hypocrite. That's so hypocritical. You thought you'll bring peace though? No, but that's violent, right? Wait, are you saying that you need to be violent to bring peace? Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean, Shaf? I guess you're right. I guess that makes sense. But even then though, that's kind of sus, right? That goes against his idea of Elysium.
Infernus had approved the killing.
Wait, do you want a fact about that? It's not in the video and not a spoiler though, I think. Spoot and Spider also agreed to the assassination of Linguini. So you're telling me that everyone's against Linguini? Everyone is trying to kill Mario? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Seriously? What did Mario do? My boy Mario doesn't deserve this, man. He don't deserve this. Not Mario. It's not in the video, but they both agreed. Oh, that really ruins the plot, huh? Oh, shite.
Of Lingolini. At the time, Benji believed that killing Lingolini would finally resolve the conflict over the volcano and bring peace to the island. But he ended up seriously regretting this decision.
Oh, so he unalived himself. Oh, he jumped off.
Infernus, and then ended his life.
Oh. Wait, hold on a minute. You know what? I have a theory. Hold on. What if the reason why he jumped off was because he has a job? He has to work tomorrow. Like he doesn't want to play anymore. He's like busy with other stuff. He can't play anymore. That's why he jumped off.
Now, because Benji had repented, the Blue Cross Conference decided not to punish Elysium and instead focused on Infernus.
I don't know about war. Maybe a trial? Give Infernus a chance to tell their side.
Wait, another trial?
Luminara at the meeting.
Seriously? How many trials do they want? Have they learned at this point that trials don't work? Look at Sep. Look at Saprata. Bro, trials don't work anymore. Why do they keep having trials? They don't freaking work. It never works. It has never worked so far. It doesn't freaking work. Why do they keep doing trials? Just kill him.
The leaders actually agreed with his idea. So later today, there would be a
Have they
trial
learned? They're
against
not
the
learned.
entire nation of Infernus.
Wait, the entire nation on trial?
Now, when the meeting came to an end, Flux was approached by a few guards from Tricolor.
Wait, what? Huh?
we know about the assassinations, all right?
Oh no.
You're under arrest. You're coming to
No,
Tricolor.
Flux, no.
You're gonna have a fair trial. Just come with us.
What are you talking
No,
about?
bro.
Tricolor had issued an arrest warrant for Flux after they obtained
Oh, because of the video.
evidence
Oh,
from a
yes.
citizen of the Cass Coalition.
From the Cass Coalition, the buggy, the clown.
In any capacity.
What are you talking about? We know Seraphim was guilty of that.
There are concerns that you may have been involved in other ways. If you believe yourself innocent, I believe that you are. I trust that you're innocent because you told me you were. But right now, the most important thing you can do
Wait, so literally his sauce is trust me, bro. That's his sauce. Trust me, bro.
is simply go to the trial and prove that you're correct, which I believe.
This
you
is
are,
an
okay?
outrage against Luminara. I cannot believe that you would accuse
What an
me of
outrage.
Now, the truth was, Tricolor wasn't necessarily convinced that Flux was guilty. They just wanted Flux to go to trial so that he could answer their questions about the videotape.
this. Why didn't you not bring this up beforehand?
Look, you were not meeting.
Oh shit.
You're seriously scared that I'm going to run away from a trial.
You agree after what happened with the Commonwealth, we could never be too careful about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fine, I will go. But this is an outrage.
All right, let's go.
We're gonna remember.
We will not stand for this.
Flux is getting arrested by Tricolor.
Wait, what? Wait. Oh, he's messaging someone.
Few seconds.
Stop, don't worry.
He's messaging
The
because he has to
group
type on the
then
keyboard,
passed
right?
through Elysium, and we're about to sail off to Island 2 until.
Wait, isn't that his guy? His team? That's the guy who killed Squidward. New Kids. Wait, why? Wait, why?
What?
Wait, what's attacking him?
Wait, Flux is getting
Why?
away?
Betrayal, traitor.
It turned out Flux had secretly told a member of his
Huh?
own crew to come and attack him so that he could run away from his arrest without looking guilty.
Oh, that's smart. That's so smart. What the freak? Yo,
When
Flux.
Flux returned to Luminara, his
That's like
whole
5 hit.
world had flipped upside down. He
That's
believed
5
he had
hit.
covered all his tracks, that he had gotten away with everything.
Yeah, how does he think of this? Oh my god. He keeps getting away. Flux is so freaking smart. Damn.
But for now, he had to remain calm and decide on his next move.
Legacy.
Yeah?
We've just been informed that you have ties to the Covenant, and they're working with Saps the Traitor. So the problem is, we're afraid you're a national security threat. You
Wait,
have two choices.
hold
right
on.
now. You either drop out of the election this instant, or we can do this the hard way.
Wait.
Oh, that's
Huh?
tough. Alright.
By forcing Legacy to drop out of the
Oh.
election, Flux had automatically become the leader of Luminara. Which means if Tricolor still wanted to arrest him, they wouldn't be able to just walk ahead and take him. They would have to invade Luminara itself.
Bro, this guy is so smart. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's like a rat. You can never kill him. He'll keep getting away.
Yesterday, Emperor Spoon had caused a lot of chaos with his failed attempt to capture Knight Arcturus. So he spent day 9 repairing relationships, but also forming new ones. For example, earlier, Spoon had received a message from a player named Addison27
Addison?
who wanted
Wait, who's
to sell
this?
Joe Fuel's head in exchange for netherite.
Oh, it's the guy. It's the guy who stole
Accepted
the head.
deal, gave Addison a place to meet him
Oh.
at, but then he gave Addison's
Oh yeah, because fled to
location
Island 1,
straight
right?
to Tricolor.
Armor.
Oh.
Show us the head.
Yeah,
there it is.
Oh no.
Give it right now.
Oh, he did. He did.
Now, this actually led to an alliance
L.
between Westhelm and
Rebozo Rip.
Tricolor, the first ever multi-island alliance, and a strategic move by Spoon to befriend the neighbors of the Commonwealth.
No, Spoon is such a good leader.
Later, Spoon also visited
He's such
the
a good
Covenant
politician.
after he heard
He's
about
so
some
good at this.
civil unrest going on.
So they all
Wait, what?
just left, just like that.
Apparently, about
Oh,
half
no.
of the Covenant's entire population had decided to leave the Covenant.
Oh
This is
no.
because they believed TurnTap was betraying the Covenant's values by constantly trading and associating with Island 2. And what made a lot of
Oh.
them really angry was the fact that TurnTap was making them protect Saps. See, originally, Turntap had only brought Saps in to get diamonds for his army. But the more he heard about Saps' story, the more he became captivated by Saps.
Wait,
and
what?
wanted to help
Captivated?
him. In fact,
Wait, that sounds
the reason
gay.
Turntap
What the
acted
frick?
strangely on day 7 wasn't because he was thinking about
No, guys,
killing
you know what, guys? You know what? It's time to write some fanfiction, guys. Some Turntap X Saparata fanfiction. Let's go. Let's go. Fanfiction time.
Saps. It was because he had just saved Saps from the Alcaracina pirates, and he was worried that the pirates would attack the Covenant in retaliation.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. He was worried
Anyway,
that
now
the pirates were gonna
Turntap
attack
had the pirates
Covenant.
against him, as well as much of the Covenant forces, which Turntap himself had trained to be ruthless. It's fair to say that his life was in grave danger.
Oh
Before
no.
he and Spood could figure out a solution, the Covenant suddenly had a surprise visitor.
Come here, you're under arrest.
Uh-oh.
Yo,
Oh
they're
no,
trying to
Saps.
kill me.
Oh wait, that's the common L guy.
Killed our leaders. You destroyed our
The guy with the funny funny
After
voice.
days upon days of searching, the Commonwealth had finally found Saps.
It's literally the guy.
Saps is now hiding. This player, Zekor, was now the main diplomat of the Commonwealth, and he knew that this was his opportunity to finally kill Saps. The last thing he needed to do was to convince Spood to hand Saps over.
Spood, come here. Please, let's have a talk. Let's have a chat. And are you a friend of this criminal behind you?
Alright. Could you guys come inside?
Oh boy.
Wait, is it booby trap?
Here we go.
Maybe it's booby trap.
We can put all of our fighting behind us.
But there's a roof, right?
Propose a trade. You give me Saparada,
Oh.
and the Commonwealth gives you Night Arcturus.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
wow. RT for
Wait, that's
Saps.
good.
I
That's a good
mean,
trade.
Where would this happen?
That's smart.
You can let us take Saparada now, and then we can kill Arcturus for you.
No, don't kill him. He needs to fight in the Colosseum.
Of course. Of
Alright,
course, the
We can
Colosseum.
make that work as well.
Wait, so you're saying you know where he is?
Oh shit. Uh-oh.
It's
Common L.
interesting because Sitzkrieg said he didn't.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
We don't have him.
We do not know.
I'm in danger.
Look, he comes back every now and then. We'll find him.
Really? Is that so?
Why would I lie?
So you'll
Of course
find
you would
him.
lie.
Spood, don't do this.
Why will you not lie?
Look, Spood, I have to be honest. I'm shocked that you're defending this criminal. Either you accept this deal right now, or I tell everyone from back home that you're harboring Saparada. They'll all declare war on you. This will be
Ooh.
the end of Westhelm.
He's threatening. Damn. Truly common L, man. Truly common L.
So, just to make the terms of this deal very clear, because I want to be accurate. You expect me to give up an innocent man in exchange for a terrorist? Is that really your offer?
He's not innocent.
Alright.
Oh no.
Get out. Now.
Bro. Spood, the man. The dude. Spood. The man of the people. Dude, that's like some alpha male shit, man. Oh my goodness. That was so tight.
Soon, it would be time for the trial of Infernus, which had
That was
become
big dick,
a
man. That's
very
big dick. Actual big
anticipated
dick.
event, because Seneca had told everyone that she actually planned
Massive dick.
to attend. As such, Turntap would be there to help her, which meant
Oh, it's
Saps
the
also
trial
had
of
to go.
Inverness, I think.
He wanted the Covenant's protection, which would actually come in handy.
Oh no.
But Sap's getting attacked.
No.
Oh no.
Get away, run.
Oh boy,
Saps, run.
Sap's getting attacked again. The attacker was taken out immediately by the Covenant, but this led to another problem.
We need to know whether we should keep Infernus in the area. We are worried about assassinations.
Not going in a building, we're having this outside.
Seneca and the rest of Infernus had arrived, but were refusing to enter the courthouse because
Wait,
of
what?
safety concerns. Infernus is saying
Oh, so
outside or
nothing.
They're not going in. And as expected, people were quickly becoming impatient.
I have to stand here for 5 more minutes. I'm gonna pull all my hair out.
Come inside.
Oh, it's the guy from the Mario gang.
The trial hadn't even begun, and things were already out of control.
It's the last guy.
And then
Oh shit. Oh my god.
someone's setting
Are you serious again? Again? Are you serious, bro? Have they not learned? Have they not freaking learned about roofs? So he's gonna die. He's gonna die. I can't watch.
Oh,
Wait, no, turn tap, no. No.
and like that,
Turn Tap died.
Turn Tap was dead. Killed
Wait, that's worse.
by 2 disgruntled former citizens of the
No, because
Covenant who had
Turn Tap
come
was the only
back
one who trusted him.
for revenge.
And now he's dead too.
Burn us back to the castle.
Oh my
Queen
goodness.
Seneca directed her people and all the remaining Covenant forces, who were now leaderless, to retreat to the Infernus
Wait,
Castle.
what? Wait. Oh no. Wait, hold on. Wait, that means they have netherite. They have netherite now. Oh shit.
Both Infernus and the Covenant were eventually found guilty of murdering the Lingolini Mafia. But now that Seneca had adopted the entire Covenant army with all of its netherite weaponry, it would be impossible to try and arrest anyone.
Oh my
Saps,
god.
meanwhile, was abandoned at the courthouse, so he ran all the way to Westhelm to Emperor Spood, who was apparently dealing with a new political crisis.
Huh? Another
It
one?
appeared that Spood had finally made the Commonwealth mad because,
Ooh, let's
according to
go.
a West Helm spy, it looked like the Commonwealth was preparing
Wait, they got
to
rich
go
baited.
to war.
Actual rich bait.
And on top of this, Spood had received a message from Sitzkrieg inviting him to the Commonwealth for a meeting.
Oh, that's
Now, of
that's
course,
a trap,
Spood
guys.
suspected
So
this was
obvious.
a trap, but his second in command,
That was so
Spider,
obvious.
had an idea.
Let me go instead. Let them kill
Ooh.
me, and if they do, we'll have the right to obliterate them.
Basically, if Spider goes to this meeting and actually gets killed, then in the eyes of the world, this will give Westhelm permission to finally wipe the Commonwealth off the map.
You're a hero, Spider.
Glory to Westhelm.
Glory to West Helm. Let's go. But he's gonna die a martyr, man. He's gonna be a martyr.
These guys are all waiting. for
He's gonna
someone to
die. Spider's gonna die. Oh, he's dead. He died. Charge for Spider! Glory to West Helm! Kill the Common L. Destroy them. Obliterate them. Destroy them. Screw you, Common L. Screw you. You deserve to die. Wait, what? Wait, why's no one?
Wait, what? Where is everyone?
No! Please don't tell me they ran away.
The
Again.
Commonwealth had been
Again.
completely abandoned.
Oh my goodness. The
See,
cowards.
After Zekor's meeting with Spood,
Cowards, I
Sitzkrieg
say.
had tried to
Bro,
rally all
they have ran away twice. 2 times. They've ran away twice now. Bruh. Like, the only thing they know is to run. That's the only thing they are good at. Freaking cowards. They're not even brave enough to fight back. It's such a cowardly thing to do. There's no honor. They literally have no honor, guys. Honorless. Literally no honor at all. Hello, Sony. Hello. Welcome back. Yeah, we are reacting to this Minecraft video. It's so big. It's cinema. Actual cinema. I'll actually say it's even better than the Minecraft movie. This is a true Minecraft movie, guys. This is a true Minecraft movie, I say.
of Island 2 against West Helm, but not a single nation joined him.
Haha,
Throughout its
common
days,
L.
the Commonwealth had faced chaos, infighting, global humiliation, and now Sitzkrieg was utterly defeated. So, as a final jab against West Helm, Sitzkrieg decided to kill Spider.
Bro, the
before
audacity, man, the
dissolving
audacity.
The Commonwealth once and for all.
Oh my
Sitzkrieg
goodness.
and his remaining citizens then decided to pack up and relocate to the one place in the
Wait, what?
world that West Helm wouldn't
No.
be able to infiltrate.
Don't tell me it's Infernus. Of course. Of course, it's Infernus again.
Guys, welcome to Infernus.
Thank you, Seneca.
Right, I feel like all the bad guys are at Infernus now.
So many people.
All the bad guys. They're all grouping at Infernus now.
Infernus is massive.
They're gonna, okay. Legit parasites. When some guy asked for my Instagram today, I told him I'm lesbian because I got stressed. Big brain, big brain.
Meanwhile, at the Cass Coalition, it was the end of another good day. The farmers had
Kai
produced
Caesar.
plentiful crops, the businesses had made lots of sales, and there was
The
even
name,
a
bro.
birthday party.
Aw, birthday, happy
While the people
birthday.
were happy, Cass knew very well that the outside world was quickly growing out of control. As leader, it was Cass's duty to keep track of all the world conflicts. But by day 9, they were simply
Oh, would daddy.
overwhelming.
Rip. Rest in
She
peace.
watched from afar as the Commonwealth fell apart. She watched as world leaders died left and right. She watched Infernus avoid justice by blocking themselves off, with Netherite at their defense, as well as the volcano's sheer height. Yet despite all the turmoil, Cass spent most of the day trying to solve what was now the world's biggest mystery.
Oh yeah, she has a video, right? She saw the video.
Really murdered all the
Of
Island
Flux.
2 leaders. Was it Saps or was it Flux?
Is the red guy still alive?
Earlier
I
at
think
the
he is,
Blue
right?
Cross meeting, members of the Cass
I think he
Coalition
survived.
were listening carefully.
Covenant was propagating anti-Island 2 propaganda, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, we didn't agree with that. Island
Wait,
1
what?
never had beef with you guys. It was
Wait,
really
what?
just a covenant.
Oh shit.
They can see
Wait, am I wrong?
that Island 1 is gearing up to invade us. Then at least they'll know I tried to warn them when Island 1 comes and kills us all.
But the Covenant was going to invade us, right?
Honestly, probably not. I think they were just trying to scare you guys.
Oh my god, wait.
Flux had fully believed that Island 1 was going to invade and even yelled at the other leaders for doing nothing.
Wait.
Which
Shit. Shit. Wait, am I wrong, guys? Wait. That means he was wrong. I was wrong too. They didn't want to attack anyway. Oh my god. I'm wrong. I'm actually wrong. Wow. So that means we did that all for nothing. He did that for nothing. Because Island 1 didn't plan to attack anyway. Oh my god, I'm wrong. So Flux is actually a villain now. Oh my. I've been supporting a villain my whole time. This whole time. It's actually evil. Oh man.
made Cass think, what if that's the reason he killed them? Besides, what would be Saps' motive? There wasn't even a motive alleged during his trial, yet he was still found guilty. In fact, thinking back, the trial itself was suspiciously short, and the judge made a decision very quickly. Well, on day 9, one of Cass's citizens was scouting the Commonwealth and figured out why.
Wait, what? Oh, it's the judge house. Wait, he bribed the judge.
Flux had bribed the judge to ensure Saps was found guilty. When Cass discovered this, she immediately called for a meeting with local leaders.
It's been Flux this whole time.
Oh my.
I'm so mad. He needs to die.
Bro, I've been supporting a villain the whole time.
I never
He's the
thought
bad
I'd say
guy.
this, but you have my permission to invade Luminara. Okay, I'll tell my guys to prepare for battle.
No, there won't be a battle.
I'm like mind
We go
blown.
in, we take him out, we leave. Got it?
Sounds good. See?
Wait, so they're gonna kill him now? Oh, D10. Luminara. Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We gather here today because, well, we never got the opportunity to properly mourn our previous leader, Three Below.
Oh my god.
He
Wait.
was more than just a Luminaran, he was a friend.
Bro, this-
and I'm
bro, he's a
very
snake.
much excited that we can continue his
Bro, he's
legacy.
actually a snake. What a rat. Bro, the audacity to mourn the leader that he killed. The audacity. Oh my goodness.
And complete the bridge which he would have wanted.
Bro, you're the one who killed him. Bro, what are you saying? The balls to say that, man. The balls. Okay, massive balls.
All right, let's go.
Oh, I think he's so dead, man. There's no way he run away now, right? Lux? There's no way he can get away from this now. He's so freaking dead. He did, boys.
We found the person responsible for the
GG.
multiple leader
Rip
assassinations,
Flux, rip.
including the assassination of your own president.
He
Are
did,
we
he
ready
did.
to fight
The dead
for
boy.
Luminara and for
He's a dead
justice?
man. Bro, he has like Cass Coalition and Aperion.
Coalition approaches from the sea so that Flux
He's
can't
so dead.
escape.
Then how does he get away from this now? Right? They're so outnumbered.
And I just,
Oh, they're here. They're here.
Oh, he ran away.
Flux is running.
Kill him. Kill him.
They're after him.
surrender, Flux. I don't want to do this.
Oh.
Okay, wait. Surrender. Okay, surrender. I'm not moving.
Flux was under the arrest, killing Jag, Alki, members of Tricolor, and leader of Commonwealth.
This is an outrage! And attempting my assassination!
Wait, I think this is the first time Cass swear, right? She swore. That's the first time.
Flux had
She's
stopped and
mad. She's
surrendered,
mad.
But there was a bit of confusion.
She's so mad. Wait, what? Kill him, just kill him, bro.
Under the impression that the people of Luminara wanted Flux to be overthrown, when in
Just
reality,
kill him.
most Luminarans knew nothing about his crimes.
Don't speaking to a mass murderer right now. Don't let him get through the crowds, guys. Where's Legacy? Luminarans, do you want this man alive?
Oh my god, no, not another trial, no. Trials don't work, guys. They don't work.
Until
Look at Saps. Oh my god, he's running away. Oh my goodness, are you serious? Again? Again? Oh my god. Of course. What do I expect? What do you expect? Of course there's another trap. Of course, bro. Another one.
Flux had killed 5 people using a secret track he had built the day before. This bought him just
Bro, this
enough
guy is such
time
a
to
snake, man. He's so
escape.
slippery.
That said,
You
Flux
can never
knew
get
there'd be
him.
a lot of
He's
people
like,
after him, so when he got
he's
to the
so
surface, he ran
slippery.
straight to the ocean and
He's
fled
so good at running.
Island 2.
He's so sneaky. He's so sly.
Still, Cass
He's
and
like a
Imperion
snake.
sent out hit squads to try and hunt Flux down, while Legacy directed the citizens of Luminara to evacuate.
I gotta move all of these people over to the Conquistador HQ because no one is safe in Luminara at the moment.
Holy. Like that, Legacy had taken over as leader of Luminara. Cass and Apurion were down 5 citizens, and Flux had gotten away with everything once again.
Bro, this guy. This bro, this MFER.
Or so he thought.
Wait, what? Rip, man, rip. Look at all these people.
I am so confused
Rip.
on what's happening right
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Bro, I want to join this
When
event,
Flux's trap
guys.
went off, the rest of
I
the
wanna join the next
world
one.
had a lot of questions.
So cool.
Luminara?
That was Flux?
Wait, Flux killed those people?
Yeah.
Oh, he got exposed now. Everyone knows now.
10, word began to spread about what had happened.
Oh, they know now. Flux is behind everything.
Was Flux behind the murders of the Island 2 leaders after all?
Dude,
Uh-oh.
I think Flux was behind everything. Shaps
Hey,
was
Remy, my boy,
Suddenly,
the legend, the man, the myth, the legend.
Had been telling the truth. Hey, Sap, how do you feel?
Finally, I'm so happy.
Hey, he won. Saps won. Wait, what about Flux though? What about Flux? He ran away. He escaped.
The world was
Where is
finally
Flux?
on his side.
Where did he go? Where is Flux?
And now,
Where did he escape
instead
from
of hunting for
Luminara?
saps, all of Island 2 was determined to find Flux.
Bro, this is what happens when people want trials.
We should have just started killing him. I don't know why anyone stopped in the first place.
I would have been the bad guy if I killed him right then and there with everyone yelling, trial, trial.
But the search for Flux
So true, so true.
didn't take long.
Someone just saw Flux going up the volcano.
Oh my god, no.
You're kidding.
Not Infernus. Of course. But at this point, right, bro?
Queen Seneca had offered
Of course,
Flux
bro.
refuge at Infernus.
Why we?
under the condition
Oh, for the
that he and
traps.
his crew
Oh.
build deadly traps all around the
Oh.
volcano perimeter so that
Bro, Seneca is just doubling down, man.
break in.
She don't give a fuck. She don't give a freaking fuck.
But the rest of the world was
She don't care.
unfazed.
Yeah, they're gonna pay for what
My girl don't care.
On day 10, all of Island 2 joined the Tricolor West Helm Alliance and declared war against Infernus.
Wait, so everyone's attacking Infernus?
Today,
Everyone.
we infiltrate the volcano for Spider and for Owo.
Yeah, Spider.
And I just want to say,
Oh, because Coleman else at the Infernus, right? That makes sense. Aww. Glory to West Helm!
He was my brother. He was
Wait.
everyone's brother.
Wait, what's with that accent, bro? Wait, hold on a minute.
He was my brother.
He was my brother.
Everyone's brother. And they took him from us. They took him.
The accent,
got
man.
away with murdering so many of our people and our leaders. Today, we get justice for our entire island.
Ooh, Seps. Bro, he looks so happy with that face, man, with that skin. I don't know why. He looks so happy. With that weird ass face, with that ass smell. Oh, the band. Dude, that's a lot of people. What the freak? That's a lot of people. Holy shit. Bro, this pig, man. This is cinema, I swear.
A few days ago, my
Actual
home
cinema.
was turned into a death trap behind my back. I was framed and then forced to go through a rigged trial.
Guilty on all counts.
A few days ago, every single person in the world wanted me dead. But today, you all know the truth about who really killed our leaders and our friends.
Yeah. You finally know now.
Today,
Everyone knows.
We walk ahead. We storm the volcano. And we get justice.
Thank you, Saps. Alright, everyone, listen up.
Ooh.
There's a lot of things
getting
to watch
serious.
out for. There's gonna be lava, boiling water, dripstone traps, their entire army. They have the height advantage and netherite armor, but we have numbers. So let's stick together and let's win this thing! Come on!
Alright, here we go!
W speech. W speech. Bro, Spoon is such a good orator, right? He's such a good speech maker. Wow. What a good leader.
I think there might be a problem.
Of course. Wait, they're horses on this server? It looks so cool, bro. It's so cool. The Seneca, the evil queen, the ice queen, actual evil queen.
They're pouring water on the lava, but the water still burns.
Oh yeah, it's boiling water, right? It's still boiling. Wait, they're putting boiling water to cool up the lava, but it's still boiling.
Go, 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 go.
Wait, what?
Big fighting on the ground right now.
Oh, the Covenant.
Is attacking from behind.
Ooh. Oh, that's smart. That's smart. Oh, rip. Rip. Double rip. Yo, the leg. The leg. The leg's insane.
Chaos on the ground as well.
There's so much lag. Because, no, I think it's because there's so much people in like the same place. It lagged out the server. It lagged out the entire server. Oh, GG. Oh wait, nice. They got up the mountain. Retreat, retreat. Remy, let's go. Remy, attack them, kill them. No, no, Remy. No, no. My boy Remy. No. Why? No, I love Remy. The man, the myth, the legend. No, why do you have to die? Are you serious? God dang it.
The final push, here we go.
It was so cool though, the castle. It looks pretty awesome. Oh, they got in. Oh no, TNT. I forgot about that. Shit. Yo, 4 people just died because of that. Damn. This is actually evil. Wait, where are they though? Where's Seneca? Where are they? Where are they at? Where's the queen? Oh, she's up there. Oh, they're surrounded. They're surrounded. Yeah, so dead. Rip. Rip. Ooh, nice. Common L. Common L. The queen is dead. The queen is dead. Oh, Flux left. Wait, Flux left. Wait, there's no way he survives, right? There's no freaking way. Wait, he's literally surrounded by like 10 people. No, please no. No, you motherfucker. No, not again. Not again. Wait, what? Huh? Wait, he fell into lava. He died? Did he die? Wait. He died, right? No. Wait, what? How? How? Bruh. Are you kidding me? He survived again. Bro, he can't keep getting away like this, man. He can't. Wait, he has a tunnel. Of course.
Of course he has a tunnel. Of course.
Oh, they're never gonna get him, man. It's not happening. He keeps running away. He keeps getting away from me with this.
Hold on.
Freak! Wait, what? Message? Why?
Oh, come on.
I'll be there.
Alright, guys, let's go. Let's go.
Wait, 1v1? 1v1? Oh. Oh, that's... Wait. Wait. 1v1. Oh, at the Colosseum. Bro, this is freaking cinema, man.
What? No way.
Actual 1v1. Perfect ending. I'm actually like mind blown here.
Wow, you actually showed up.
Can't say no to a friend, can I?
Bro, the audacity to say he's a friend.
Let's make this a fair fight, okay?
How could you, man? You just betrayed him.
Flux.
Ridiculous.
Look at all these people dying right now because of you.
You know, Saps, none of this would have happened if you had died like you were supposed to.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
The true
for everything
villain.
You've had to go through.
Actual villain. Monologue. Guys, wait, please tell me that Seps win this, guys. Please. Please don't like Flux win, guys. Please don't. Please God. Oh God, please don't let him win. That'll be bad ending. Where's the plot armor when you need it? Come on, Seps, you can do it, you can do it. Come on, kill him, kill him. Destroy him. Wait, how many G apples do they have? How many apples do they have? Oh, lava! Ooh, that's a game changer. Ooh, lava. Yo, Seps is such a good PvPer. Oh my god. He's so good at PvP. Wait, Seps died? No, no way. No way. Yes, let's go. Screw you, Flux. Screw you. I trusted you, bro. I can't believe I believed in Flux. I don't believe it. I trusted him.
Saps had killed Flux. And with that, Flux's reign of terror
Oh my goodness.
was over.
So, wait, so guys, let me get this straight. So essentially, all of the problems we have so far, it all came from Flux. Literally, every single problem, it came from one dude, Flux. Actual villain, man. Actual villain. I can't believe I trusted him. I supported him. What the freak? I got manipulated into trusting him. Bruh. Saps and Flux always play PvP together, but Flux had a disadvantage cause he fought with 1600 MS. I see. Wait, that means, hold on. That means literally God is on his side. Right? God is on Sap's side. Literally, the Minecraft gods. Yeah, pretty much, bro. It's just fear-mongering the whole vid. Except for the death of Linguini, my goat. Yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. Yeah, oh yeah, because Infernus doesn't... Yeah, because Infernus was the one who... Yeah, you're right. If the vid plot twists are so good, then the vid is pretty hella good. Yeah, true. Bro, the plot twist, man, in this video. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. It's so good. If Flux won that fight, he also said he would want the public execution like Gold Roger. I see. Wait, so what happens now? What happens? Post credits. Days later. Oh my god, wait, hold on, 320 left, right? Wait, how many people died? Hold on, let me count. Oh my god, more than half died. Oh my goodness. The number, it just halved. Just from one fight. One battle. Oh my goodness. Look at that, it halved. It just Thanos snapped like that.
Today, we gather to honor the lives lost in the Battle of Infernus.
No, not Kai Caesar.
Since then, I think
he died too.
we haven't felt the same. I know I certainly don't.
The Island 2 West Helm Alliance had defeated the Infernus forces. But winning had come at a high cost.
Remy! My boy Remy.
After the war, people across
Wait, they've
the
entire
world
graveyard?
took
Oh my
time
god,
to
that's
mourn their dead,
that is serious, man.
reflect upon the battle,
That is some serious
and
roleplay.
then eventually decide how to move on.
Aww. Mario. Lingolini Mafia.
Now that
it's so
Infernus,
bittersweet.
the Covenant, and the Commonwealth were off the map, there were talks of creating a new world government.
Nah.
But ultimately, it
Not the
never
world
really
government.
materialized, and
Bro, this
all the
is not One Piece, bro.
remaining nations just agreed to do their own thing and have peace.
In the corner of the crowded
Island 1 had taken the brunt of the war. Crops trampled, the big tree scorched, the volcano ravaged. As a result, people across Island 1 struggled after
No,
the
he
war.
jumped.
Some of them
PTSD is real,
joined
guys.
cults, while others moved to
PTSD.
Island 2 in search of a better life.
No. Don't jump.
Elysium was fine though.
He did a Benji, guys. He did a Benji.
The Nation of Peace had decided to hold a peace festival.
Aw, cute. Peace
And
festival.
on their shore was something new. A bridge stemming all the way from Luminara.
I see. So they built a bridge to Luminara. To the link now. That's cool.
So everybody lived on in peace.
Wait, this is Barbie Land? It is, right?
including Saps, who at long last had returned to Island 2.
Oh, that's the place he did the parkour. Hey.
Still, the world wasn't totally
finally came back.
conflict-free. The Cass Coalition Bakery was yet to be exposed for causing the death of Wood Daddy. And Knight Arcturus was still in hiding, yet to be found by Westhelm. It's a big world, so...
Wait,
it's not a
wait, hold on,
surprise.
hold on, I missed that. Hold on, I was like zoning out. Hold on. I zoned out.
It's a big
Wait, he's still out there? Like Arcturus? No one caught him? Bro, this boy, man. This guy. He's so good at hide and seek. Holy shit.
world, so it's not a surprise that many stories like these may just never end.
Actual hide and seek king.
But I think there's some beauty in that.
Bro, the buildings in this like social experiment is so good, bro. Look at the buildings. The design. It's so good. The buildings. There's so many good builds.
Yeah, we still have some work to do.
Oh my goodness.
We will catch that traitor. But tonight you can rest. You've made your emperor very proud.
Jury, you have heard
Wait, what?
all of the evidence.
A
If you
trial?
find Thomas 5200
Hey, wait.
guilty of aiding Fluxion with
Oh,
his reign
that's
of
the
terror,
Flux guy.
Jump now.
The guy with Flux.
Thomas, may you find mercy in the end, senor.
Ooh. Oh, okay, that was satisfying, guys. That was satisfying. That was nice.
I ran away screaming from you because I thought you were gonna blow up
Hey,
my nation
the
and
Byron
kill all my
Hammer
citizens.
wedding.
After we talked a little bit for like 5 minutes, I realized you could blow up my
Hey.
nation and kill all my citizens, but that doesn't mean you will.
Barbie, do you take Oppenheimer to be your one and only candidate?
I do.
I do.
Oppenheimer, same thing.
I do.
Aww.
Now, at this time, Barbie and Oppenheimer have requested that instead of rings, they will both exchange something slightly different. If you would
Wait,
please
what?
turn your attention to the nuclear bomb that's behind
Wait,
us.
nuclear bomb?
3, 2,
Wait, what? A nuke? Wait, he has a bee on it. Oh, Barbie. An actual nuke.
So slowly lose control.
Wait, what? What's this? Aww. Oh, that's so sad. Oh, my heart. My heart. Oh my goodness. It's so fucking big, man. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it's so big. Wait, let me play the credits. Hold on. They deserve the attention here. Oh my goodness. Dude, I didn't expect this to be so good. I spent 3.5 hours watching this. Bro, I don't regret watching this, guys. I don't regret watching this. It's so peak. It's so good. Oh my goodness. Insane. By the way, if it wasn't for Jofiu's death, it would be a different story. Cause they planned on making Jofiu and Sprout fight in the end. Oh really? Oh, interesting.